The college football experience week 3 preview picks and draft for the 2024 college football season episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pickup for a chance to win 100 times the amount of money you can enter in college football, ULF, MLB, NBA, NHL, MMA, golf, and much, much more. Sign up today at UnderdogFantasy.com. Use that promo code TCESGPN to get a 100% deposit match. We're also brought to you by our NFL Draft Bingo. Play the NFL Draft Bingo for a chance to score a $100 SGPN gift card exclusively on the SGPN app, which is free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. So get on over there and check that out. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride.
This is Brian Bosworth, aka The Boz, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, brother. Peace out. Boz out.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience 2024 season preview that we do pretty much week by week. This is our week 3 preview, picks, and live draft where we pick the top 30 games on the slate, and also we picked the Lou Holtz what the fuck game of the week and the top FCS game of the week. So if you haven't checked out our previous episodes, go listen to week 2, week 1, week 0. We got all that out there for you to check out, as well as deep dives on all the conferences, their schedules, transfer portal. Now, obviously that's changing every minute, but we did transfer portal episodes back in January. I don't know. Some of it is useful. Some of it is not, as certain players have hit the portal again, Penny Boone. But there's a few that have landed and moved to places since then. But YouTube.com/the college experience. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, because it's always college football season here on the college football experience. If you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to, well, that's fair too. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
Because I understand how the bastard thinks. I taught him.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I want this pilot. It's a matter of national security.
Oh, I've been just deep into college football. Did an FCS show last night. Check out the FCS college football experience. Just went deep dive on the Missouri Valley and the Big Sky Conference previews. Woo. Yes, it's full on football season. Oh, I watched the Cal spring game yesterday. What?
ACC,
yes. I see Timothy Green saying, "What are you guys drinking tonight?" I'm working with little Jameson on the rocks. Patty C is going to Mexico with the Corona and NC Nick. What do you got? Like a fucking cognac?
No. It's like a German lager or something.
Okay. YouTube.com/the college experience. Like I said, you can watch this one. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh.
Let's get it going. Let's fucking get it going.
Yeah, buddy.
You know, I know I said last week that week 2 was probably my favorite. I actually think week 3 has so many great territorial rivalries that I actually think you can debate. But after this, I would say I think these two are my 2 favorite weeks of the season. Maybe the final week, but it's kind of gotten diluted. We are also joined by third man in the booth, the DFS god himself. And yes, we still are playing DFS. It's UFL DFS. Hop on over there. Also check out the UFL Gambling Podcast while you're at it. We are joined by the rooftop IPA drinking, home brew making, tobacco road living, that free like giving farmer Herndon Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. And I'll say it now. Week 3 is better than week 2. I agree. It's like a mini rivalry week.
True. Now, the only problem is 2 of these rivalries. It's almost like I was mad at Colorado, Nebraska week 2, where there's a couple here that I'm mad about week 3. We're going to get to those.
At least they're on the schedule rather than not being on the schedule.
True. But, I got a little.
I'm a half glass full type of guy. Apparently,
I got some gripes. You know, Washington State played at Washington last year. They play at Washington again this year.
I'm sure they just reset the. That seems like a logistical issue. It doesn't seem like it's going to be every year. They're not going to get 2 for 1. Yeah, of course.
No, it's a 2 for 1.
What they really went?
Yeah.
Isn't it technically neutral site? Isn't the Seahawks Stadium?
Yeah, but come on, Seattle. It's what is it? 3 minutes away from.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that favors Washington, but still, I would be stunned if Washington State agreed to a 2.
Agreed? They'll take what? What do you mean? They get
you mean
money.
Washington agreed to it?
Yeah,
Washington. No, Washington's going to agree to a 2 for 1, assuming they get
Washington
the 2 home.
State. They need as many P5 games as they can get right now. They're gonna
still. What
they're
a
not
slap
gonna
in the face.
Well, that's what this whole thing's been about over the past 16 months or whatever.
Yeah, Washington State doesn't have any leverage.
Yeah.
They're almost at the mercy of Washington.
Yeah,
they don't have fuck you leverage.
Well, they don't have money to say fuck you.
Yeah, and
which I guess
that new Big Ten contract, Washington give them even more money. You got to say yes.
I hate it.
It's horrible. That's what I'm saying. It's a play of back-to-back years in Seattle. It's horseshit.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll talk about that in a bit. But we got some news first. Well, I mean, how about this Group of 5 playoff talk? You guys caught up with this? You guys know about this?
Is there any real traction to this?
Yes.
Is this what we were talking about last year? It was either mine or your idea, Colby. But I was
a Saban assistant, Derek Dooley, former Tennessee Vol head coach. Group of 5 administrators had preliminary discussions in recent months about a G5 only postseason playoff.
Yes.
Or even a wide scale G5 realignment with the involvement of private equity. And at the forefront of that is Derek Dooley is the salesman on behalf of the private equity firms making contact with these schools. And look, the AAC commissioner who's about to retire, who was anti this, their new one, Oresco, their new one that they hired, and I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. I had this information off.
Why would you be against it?
Yeah, and Northern Illinois' athletic director, I know Sean Frazier, has been proposing this for a while.
It's a fantastic
playoff.
idea.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
Oresco was quoted saying he thinks that it creates separation between the Group of 5 and the
Well,
Power.
check newsflash.
Hello, McFly.
Wait, the guy they just hired, what the fuck was his name? God damn it, I can't remember it right now. I had it in my notes too, and I can't even find it in my notes.
Look, they'll still get the one team into the main playoffs, the top G5 team, but they're never going to get any more. So definitely they should create their own playoff instead of going to meaningless bullshit bowl games.
Yes. And
they'll never get more than 1 out of the 12 is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Probably.
Nope, definitely.
no,
Most of the time.
No, they never will.
You never think they'll get 2 teams in the top 12, the Group of 5?
No, they're going to make sure that never happens.
Right.
With the new thing,
they won't be able to control it. If there's 2 12-0 fucking Group of 5 teams.
How did it work for Liberty last year?
How did it work for Florida State last year?
Yeah.
It's true, but it was top 4, not top 12.
No, but I think it's going to make it even more like it's all going to be SEC. Like I even think the ACC is going to get fucked even more in the future.
Oh, of course,
yeah.
Of course, I agree with you there. But I would think, but whether it happens once in a blue moon,
Tim Pernetti is the new, and he said in his press conference with the AAC, he hinted at basically a playoff, thinking outside the box, and I like some of the things he said. That they have to strike first. They're not going to wait for Tony Petitti or Greg Sankey. to make decisions.
I like. Well, when you say,
I would love it. I would absolutely love if they did their own like 12-team, 16-team playoff. You got Sun Belt, AAC, Mountain West, MAC. Who am I forgetting? Conference USA. I mean, come on.
And I think Jason Eck, I heard him talk about this, the Idaho Vandals football coach, former Wisconsin Badger offensive lineman for Barry Alvarez. He was saying that we take that with the top conferences of the FCS, Missouri Valley, SoCon, CAA, and Big Sky.
And just make a bigger FCS.
And just make a huge, and basically he's like, then it would be college football the way it was supposed to be.
Well, that is exactly Oresco's like fear though, is especially if you combine yourselves with the FCS, then you are just
not all the FCS
stratifying yourself
but
to a lower.
I don't want to watch
the
like to me, like I would much rather watch if they do a proper playoff with auto bids. I would rather watch that than
there's no
the
doubt.
SEC
It would be
Big Ten
competitive.
Challenge.
It doesn't have to be either or. I'd watch all the above. I'd watch.
Yeah,
both.
but I'm just telling you, what would I be more excited to watch? I'd be much more excited to watch if they did a 2014 playoff with auto bids.
Well, here's the thing. Logistically, I guess the one team that makes if you guarantee that you're not taking away the group of fives bid to the 12 team.
You know, there's uncertainty about that in the future.
Whether they'll have that?
Yeah, that's only like 2 years that they have.
Well, obviously, if
they
they don't have it at that point, of course you make your own playoff. But
I would do it
ditch
anyway,
it regardless.
Yeah,
you ditch it.
Yeah, because the bowl games mean nothing. None of your players are playing. If you have this other championship,
or you do it regardless.
No, I'm saying I say.
But you don't ditch the big playoff. But you don't ditch your one bid to that. I could see you doing that.
I can even say you ditching the big playoff.
I like it in a sense, but
blaze your own investors. Blaze your own destiny. Make it happen for yourself. Don't just sit, at the, under the table waiting for the scraps of the major conference to give you one team in the playoff. Obviously, keep that if they still give that, but if not, then do your own thing for sure.
I actually think it would be like the most refreshing thing to the fucking sport in a long time.
I'd be
if
really
that happened. Yeah.
I'd be really excited for that playoff. That'd be awesome.
I would too, and I think it would draw numbers. And I mean, that's the thing about people are probably looking at UFL and being like, okay, it can't compete at all with the NFL. It's got 1/millionth of the number, or what of that? It's been like 906,000 viewers per game for the UFL.
Colorado
UFL.
Spring game did better than that.
Right. So I think, with the alumni there, you would still have a pretty, a product that could sell a lot. And you put it in a tournament format that's pretty compelling.
Well, you know what else it does? I think if they did this and it was successful, look, we know Clemson and Florida State are out the door. I think you could steal some of those Big 12 and ACC teams if it gives them leverage, because if they get disrespected, they could go down to this fucking subdivision.
Yeah.
Or whatever the fuck you want to deem this.
Although just as likely that the big boys steal any good teams and they would go instantly, obviously.
Well, I mean,
I guess that doesn't matter.
There's only a couple teams before I think that they would stop.
Yeah.
I don't think that Kansas State's attractive to them. So I think it's something to do. I watched that Wake Forest spring game about a week ago. Heard their athletic director talking. He was like, "We see all this stuff happening," and granted, I'm not the biggest fan of their athletic director, but in this instance, he said, "He goes, we see what's happening, and a lot of the other conferences that are dictating all this change are not putting." Their model of college football is a lot different than our model of college football. He goes, here you come for the academics and we want you to stay all 4 years. Right.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's something that Wake Forest will never change that outlook. Right.
Ivy League-esque in that regard.
Well, he's basically just saying like, fuck you, SEC and Big Ten. Right. And I think it would be great. And I would love it if the ACC, look, you get Clemson, Florida State out of there, take the rest of schools. Carolina wants to leave. Miami wants to leave. Fuck them. Big 12. Join that fucking subdivision. That would be the funnest fucking thing ever, man.
Well, absolutely. If you could get like a decent amount of money, a comparable amount of money to what you're getting paid as a Power 4 team, the remainder of the ACC teams, I don't know if they can negotiate that.
I think they could outbeat them, because I think if you had auto bids, like we've been saying, this stupid logic of the 12-team playoff and the 4-team invitational, whatever, the 12-team invitational, if it doesn't regionalize the whole country, especially like without auto bids. If you had an auto bid for all those conferences, you're telling me the SoCon champ every year could play against the AAC champ, or the Big Sky champ is taking on the Mountain West champ. That goes into all of it. It's like more like the NCAA basketball tournament.
Well, I would think yes. All of the current Group of 5 and current FCS teams would buy into that format. Whether you could get like the remaining big or ACC.
Yeah, that's the big question, because the money's not going to be similar. Let's not try to pretend like it's going to be similar.
Not right away.
I don't think ever.
Really? I think it could long term. Because I think people get turned off by that shit, man. I think people get turned off I think there's a lot of people that I've talked to that they say, man, I want to get more into the FCS because the FBS is everyone's in the portal. It's all about NIL collectives and shit like that.
There's a certain percentage, sure, but there's also another certain percentage that'll pack out every $110,000 stadium in the SEC and the Big Ten every freaking weekend, and they live and breathe it and they love it. So I don't think it'll ever touch that, but I don't know if it necessarily needs to. I think they can carve out their own niche and do just fine for themselves.
Maryland sells out their games.
Not every team, but most.
UCLA,
most stuff.
Likes of a Vanderbilt certainly, and maybe like even a Kentucky if they get tired of but they're never going to give up the money.
They never would. It has to be ACC or Big 12.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Could happen.
They wanted to form a little bullshit pro fucking. We don't want pro football. All right, we don't want pro football in this shit. All right, there's other news going on. College football has been fucking insane. We just saw Colorado, North Dakota State moved to Thursday night.
Excellent. Now we're talking.
Perfect.
Might have to redraft week 1.
Yeah, that's definitely better than. What the best game we had was North Carolina at Minnesota. I think that Thursday night.
Yeah,
Thursday.
Yeah, exactly.
So Colorado. I mean, that's just great news. Thank you. The Friday night slate. Please don't make us watch Temple, Oklahoma. Give us a little more meat on the bone on Friday.
I mean, I guess Georgia Tech, Florida State was week 1, but we all have our criticism. Or week zero.
Yeah. This
is the first real good college football game in the United States of the 2023 season now, or 2024 season.
Yeah. Kansas, Iowa State, not this year, next year. They're doing Farmageddon week 0 in Ireland. I can't tell you how much I hate this.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely horrible for the rivalry.
Yeah,
it's a great rivalry
game.
Kansas, Iowa State makes no sense whatsoever.
Kansas State, Iowa State.
I'm sorry. Either way, doesn't matter.
Dude, that's a great rivalry.
Yeah.
And it's
it's
this
awful.
In fucking Dublin.
I understand if it's Notre Dame, if it's some kind of tie-in, if it's maybe
still
like
don't
Boston
put Notre
College
Dame,
or
USC.
something.
Yeah.
You put Notre Dame in Navy.
You don't put
Yeah.
Florida versus Georgia in Dublin.
Oh my God. I've seen this news and it's just fucking terrible for the sport. All these idiots saying, grow the game. This is growing the game. Fuck that. They got TVs there. They can grow the fucking game by turning it on. All right. Get out of here. How many fucking people are going to the game in Ireland that it's going to affect their life with changing
How
and
many
playing?
people in Ireland understand Farmageddon?
Yeah. Dumb.
How many
fucking
of them
logic.
can even say where Kansas or Iowa is on a map, let alone give a fuck about either
Exactly.
university?
It's so stupid. So stupid. I did see this though, since that brought up me looking at the 2025 schedule. We need Lane Kiffin to stay at Ole Miss after this year. They're going all in. And I think they got a great chance of making the 12-team invitational
This year.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we need him to not get plucked away the following year. Right? For the following year. Same. We need Georgia. We got to root for Georgia Southern. Clay Helton needs to not get fired.
Why do they not need to not get
because
fired?
they're the opening 2 opponents for USC in 2025. So playing all your former look, get Ordron. Mike Desimero gets fired at Louisiana. Get him on the schedule. Ordron go there. Let's get all the former USC coaches.
I love it.
I also want to talk about the University of Memphis. FedEx. Those pieces of shit. All right. I know. If you know what I'm talking about, Patty C knows what I'm talking about. They're pieces of shit.
Was it Jeff Smith or what's his name?
Yeah, I forget his name.
Fred Smith. He's a piece of shit.
All right, but they did give $25 million.
Hey, Fred Goldsmith was a pretty good coach at Duke
I like
in the
Fred
90s.
Goldsmith and TCU, right? Fred Goldsmith No, but look, FedEx has announced a massive $25 million name, image, and likeness investment to the University of Memphis, mainly focusing on their football and basketball programs. Whew.
Hello, ACC.
Hello, Big 12.
Yeah,
Dude.
I mean, you just
that's not for a new classroom. That's not for new facilities. That's for NIL.
25 mil.
Yeah.
It's nice.
How did the ACC not take UConn and Memphis?
They're so stupid.
Instead
They're
took
so
Cal and Stanford.
Yeah. And before that, they took Boston College. And I mean, Louisville made sense.
The ACC should convince Memphis to do a sweetheart deal for the ACC like SMU did and sacrifice their first, 7 years of, TV income and give it all to the rest of these schools.
Yeah.
Right.
And boom, it's just like you already have probably one of your better football schools and basketball schools.
You're right. I mean, as much as I think they kind of fit in more of the Big 12 now, but I think you're right, Nick, because with Florida State and Clemson, they're going to be gone soon. We think. And Miami and North Carolina could be next out the door. So I think the Big 12 is sitting there fine. To me, the ACC should be on the phone with UConn and Memphis right fucking
Get proactive.
now. I might even do more than 2.
Learn from,
because if you lose, if Virginia Tech and Louisville go with that, you might want to just cover your ass.
If I'm the Stanford president and the Cal president, I am screaming to bring these teams in right now.
Well, it's all easier said than done. The commissioner just can't say you're in. You have to get a vote. You have to get a majority, and that just barely passed at like the 13th hour.
Yeah, 7-6. Or no, I'm sorry. What was it? It was 8. Yeah, whatever. It was by 1 vote. NC State was actually the vote that swung it, and originally they had voted against it.
Right. It was 9-5.
But then they realized that wait a second. There's no plan for us. There's a plan for Carolina, and we normally like to stay with the Tar Heels, but there's no plan for us.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, there is a photo going around the internet with me and NC State paraphernalia. That is Photoshop. No, if you want the true story,
I couldn't open Photoshop if I tried, let alone put you on someone else's body. So we'll let the people decide on that.
If you want the true story, number 1 Florida State, back when they had Jimbo, Christian Ponder, they were number 1 in the nation. They came in to Raleigh, North Carolina. And me and NC Nick, we went to like 5 games. I feel like well, we went to like multiple games this weekend.
Well, that was the Thursday night game, and Saturday we went to Florida, Georgia.
Yeah, and NC State did pull off the upset, so we're going to the NC State game. I don't want to root ever for Florida State, as you can see.
You went to Florida, Georgia, and Florida State, and NC State in the same in a 3-day stretch. That's fucking magical.
Both games were awesome too.
And this is Florida State before they became the University of Saudi Arabia. So, but I can't ever root for Florida State as much as I dislike NC State. And if you're going to the game, you want to experience
still American Florida State.
You want to experience the college experience, which is if you're on campus, you got to rep with everyone. You got to drink. You got to hope that you knock off Jimbo Fisher and these fucking Seminoles. So I was wearing an NC State shirt,
and they did knock him off. And you're also trying to get some Wolfpack tail, also. Which,
I was single at the time too, and I know how to play. I know how to play this game.
But
it's kind of it's funny that you mentioned that because when we were at the Georgia Florida game, the world's biggest cocktail party, 2 days later, I had originally gone to get a Georgia shirt.
You saw a bunch of hot Florida chicks.
So many hot girls. I hate Florida way more than I hate Georgia. And
especially back then.
Yeah.
Back then, for sure.
Yeah, Florida had just won those natties. I still, even now, I'd rather see
Georgia still win. Me too.
So I saw how much talent was down there in the parking lots of whatever that fucking Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium is with all those fucking hot tubs. All right. And
even the dance base likes pussy more than football.
You gotta play your cards right. Play your cards right. So I grabbed a Florida Gators shirt. NC Nick did join me.
There might be a picture of Colby and I rocking a Florida Gator shirt, which I did uncover that as well. Maybe we'll have to share that with the world eventually.
And that's probably, now that I'm married, you'll never see that again. Maybe it depends who they're playing. It depends. There's a chance. Florida's not on my like top 5 most hated. Whereas, who do you hate more, Florida or Florida State? I think I hate Florida State.
I hate Florida more than Florida
Really?
State. Yeah. Oh, there's a little ACC love for Florida State.
Even after the Saudi Arabia shit, though.
I don't care.
They're trying to leave the ACC. They're being little bitches. They're the one that signed the fucking deal.
Yeah, but
you can't
Florida,
like Florida State. Dude.
Florida with Spurrier. I mean, Bowden. I hate them both. I hate them, and you know what? I fucking hate Miami.
Dude, if you asked me in like 2000, I think I hated Florida more.
Yes, the Urban Meyer years. Come on.
But Spurrier grew on me also. That's another thing. I used to hate Spurrier in the 90s. He ended up being like one of my favorites. Yeah. And then when I met him, when I went with Coach Leach up to Pullman, changed my whole outlook. All right. Life's about change, folks. As we change strides here and start this draft, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by. Well, first off, you're listening to the college football experience, which is part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and as obviously tomorrow. The NFL draft is happening, and the Sports Gambling Podcast has you covered all week with NFL draft props, mock drafts, and their NFL draft watch party, which I'll be a part of. This computer is about to blow up because I've been downloading clips of 3 rounds worth of players. So if you haven't tuned in over the years, I'm the college guy talking. I'm your Mel Kiper, and I will take bribes just like Mel Kiper did. All right, for a mock draft.
Wait, I'm unfamiliar with that story, but that's for another time.
Yeah, he took some money to bust to.
Did he do that?
Yeah.
Wow. Mel,
he knows what he's doing.
Unscrupulous.
You got to know how to play the game.
True.
All right. But anyway, check out the watch party. It's gonna be tune in Thursday night. Sports Gambling Podcast YouTube page. Come hang with the guys for the best NFL draft watch party there is out there. Plus, make sure you download the SGPN app for a free shot at winning $100 SGPN gift card with the NFL Draft Bingo. All right, we are back, and before we dive into this, I know we kind of touched on this. I really had fun with this week.
I think it's better than week 2. I agree.
Hey, what happened to my graphic here?
There are good rivalry games. I don't know that I mean, clearly there's not a game as good as Michigan versus Texas on the slate.
Fair.
But aside from that,
I think Michigan Texas is gonna be a blowout. So I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna side with you there.
I think you are presuming that things are gonna fall apart at Michigan.
Arch Manning looked pretty fucking good at spring, but do we have a quarterback controversy going on there?
There may be. If Caleb Williams could take it away from Spencer Rattler, then Arch Manning might be able to take it away from Quinn Ewers.
One thing I will say regarding this season is I was like going through I pretty much have made a spreadsheet of like all 13 or 14 weeks, 14 this year. And as much as we get some of these, like Georgia plays at Texas, right? You get USC at Michigan. Ohio State at Oregon. Ohio State, Oregon was already on the schedule pre them joining the Big Ten. I actually think doing this compared to the past 2 years is much worse.
Yeah, I think so.
Once you get to the middle of the schedules and you got
it's big games, you
have like Washington at Rutgers and Northwestern at USC, and then Vanderbilt at Texas. You're just like
interesting.
And so to me, like you get some marquee matchups, but you get so many shit games now. So it's like you're getting some big time matchups, but I actually made a list, and there was far more shittier games than there were great games to me added.
Well,
to
what would a shitty game be before in the Pac-12? And let's not act like the last year or two of the Pac-12.
For me, it might be different than you. I think it's like, to me, like I like when Oregon State plays Cal. Now I see Cal Boston College, and I go, yeah, I'd rather see them play Oregon State.
Oregon State Cal is slightly more interesting than Cal Boston College.
I think it's a lot more. I think it's a lot more interesting, but that's me.
I mean,
I think the audience will have to tune in every week when we do these previews, so we can all uncover it together.
Jeff Sharp is right in the chat. I think what's happening makes so many teams irrelevant. It just sucks. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Patty, I would say, and this is happening for a while, but I would say this one with so much change specifically for this year. It was like when West Virginia joined the Big 12 and they're playing like Baylor, and you're like, I don't really care. I'd much rather see them play Louisville, or I'd much rather see them play Cincinnati or Syracuse.
The vast majority of West Virginia's games are like, okay, there's no real passion.
That's what I'm saying. So imagine like you got that, but you got it for like 10 teams.
Yeah, that's true.
Because even the Texas, like I said, even Texas and Oklahoma, which I actually think out of all of them make the most sense.
Yeah, it's right there.
Right. Even that though, like Vanderbilt,
you take away 100 years of rivalries that you had with the other teams.
You don't get Bedlam.
Yeah.
But like to me, like Baylor and Texas or Baylor and Oklahoma is way cooler than
Chippy.
Kentucky and Oklahoma, or
Yeah.
Kentucky and Texas, or like
Not to mention
South Carolina.
essentially
and Texas.
every Pac-12 team doing it, whether it be Stanford, Cal, or any of the.
That's what I'm saying. And then Washington
Big
State and
Ten.
Oregon State getting fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of kind of dumpy
and then
games.
you added SMU, and SMU is actually the one that, if I had to go other than Oklahoma and Texas, but even that, there's kind of some shit games. SMU's kind of gotten more interesting on the schedule because they have Florida State coming to SMU, right?
Yeah.
But the other ones, like Cal, Stanford, and like I said, I would even throw Oklahoma and Texas in this bin a little bit, and then all of the teams going to the Big Ten.
UCLA,
I think.
yeah, USC.
Dude, like
I mean, those
UCLA
big
at
games.
Maryland sounds so fucking bad. You're telling me, like, I'd rather see any Pac-12 game.
UCLA at this point has like no compelling games on their schedule because UCLA, Michigan doesn't do anything. UCLA, Ohio State, maybe UCLA, Penn State, but who gives a fuck, right?
They play this year too, and I don't care about it.
Yeah,
I would like to take what is the worst Pac-12 matchup you could imagine? Like Arizona, Stanford.
yeah.
I still think that's better than like
Arizona, Rutgers, or
like Stanford plays Wake Forest. I'd rather see Arizona, Stanford. I'm sorry.
I agree.
And I think it's not even
Neither
close
move
to
the needle, but
yeah.
anyway.
But if I'm forced to watch one, anyway. So all right, let's hop into week 3. If, like I said, if you haven't checked out the other weeks, go check them out. Until then, though, check out this week as I'm trying to find the draft content here. But this is what happens. Sometimes you tune in.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
Here we go. Pick Dundee is on the clock, and goddamn it, I just talked about this. Hey, West Virginia in the Big 12. It's got a little more interesting when you add Cincinnati or UCF. I guess UCF, but Cincinnati, yes,
Definitely.
But they still struggle to have meaningful games. And I love West Virginia football. I would love to see them win a national championship. I remember the days of Major Harris. All right. But this is still the best game. And sign me up for this each and every fucking year.
Rivalry's a rivalry, and even though West Virginia or Pitt rather had a pretty bad year last year at 3-9, they've been much better than that, and West Virginia seems like they're trending in the right direction. So yeah, I mean, both of these teams could be pretty good this year. Throw in the rivalry factor.
West Virginia is a contender, I think, in the Big 12 still. Like, and we have no idea what's happening in the Big 12.
Again, like we mentioned last week, about 9 teams are contenders.
Yeah.
So yeah, sure.
Pitt just had their best defensive player transfer to Colorado, but I mean, I don't know. Narduzzi, I feel like when Narduzzi's teams are supposed to be shitty, they're good. When they're supposed to be good, they're shitty. So this is the 14th oldest rivalry in the history of college football, by the way. So, and the last time they played at Pitt last year was not as good because Pitt couldn't move the ball. It was still good though because of the hatred. But yeah, I just think the backyard brawl is the epitome of what's good about college football.
Well, a couple of years ago, was it Pitt, and
was
that
awesome.
was lit.
That was
as
the best
shit.
game.
That was that Thursday night to open up the season.
It was Thursday night.
It was a fantastic game. It was a lot of fun. Exactly. Yep.
This game is awesome. Like this game, like I truly think like this is how you know college football fans to me. Like if they know that this game is way better, like there's not many rivalries I think that are better to watch. To me, like obviously Oklahoma Texas is the one that really moves the needle for me. Like that's mine. I think if I had to draft the rivalry,
I think at this point a lot of people would agree with you on that one.
yeah. But West Virginia Pitt, I think is a top 10 draft pick, top 5 probably in all of college football as far as rivalry. NC Nick, your thoughts?
No, I agree. I mean, it's regionality and history at its finest. It was off the schedule for 11 years. I think that was how long the break was. Since then, they've played 2. It was split. And this year, I think there's even more interest because of West Virginia's success a year ago. And now, I mean, they're the program with the momentum. And meanwhile, Pitt, like Patty said, coming off just a 3-win season, it's a huge game at home. They need to win this. You know, Narduzzi needs it to win this game. So it's a fantastic game. It should definitely be in the top 3 here. It's probably the best one this week. I agree, because there isn't that like premier game up top on a national level. So this is a fantastic rivalry, and it's well played.
I mean, it's just I almost feel like they should move this to a Thursday night too.
I mean, wait. Yeah,
I don't think it
that
needs
would
to be
fit.
in this slate. I think Saturday night is totally fine here.
That
It was
works
going to be
too.
week 3.
It does work too, but
Just because there's no other. I mean, let's be honest. This game, though, with a 3-9 team being the top game on the slate, it just shows that there are no other super elite teams between really good teams. You know,
fair.
but still, I mean, normally, like Pitt normally is not 3-9.
no,
Like
they've been.
if you look, actually, when's the last time they had a losing season? In 2017, they were 5-7. But
what have they gone since then?
Since 2017?
Yeah,
7-7, 8-5, 6-5, 11-3, 9-4, 3-9.
yeah. I mean, if they win 11 wins and 9
I mean,
wins
this is
to
a
2 years
program
before.
that actually the last time they had 3 wins or less was 1998. All right, so it should be a lot better. Than
Yeah,
that.
I mean, and then West Virginia. I mean, Neil Brown was kind of spinning his wheels. But he had like 5-6 wins the last 2 years prior to last year. But then 9-4 last year. If they continue to trend in the right direction, and like you say, they're a dark horse for the Big 12. You know, this is could be a statement win for the ACC or the Big 12.
Yeah, obviously you add that to the mix.
A little bit of a factor there.
Shit talking rights. Anyway, Patty C, you're next on the clock.
Well, this is tough. This is tough for me because I think that at this point, a lot of games have about the same weight. I agree with you that West Virginia Pitt was number 1. After that, I think I'm going to actually go off of the page here and take us to another game.
Ooh.
And it is the game with the highest win totals between 2 competitors last year. And there's
Off
a
the page.
separate storyline pushing this game toward the top. We are talking about Memphis at Florida State. I mean,
Hold on, I got something for that. And by the way, it's Memphis against Saudi Estate.
what else you got for me? I mean,
Well, I don't get brain
laugh it up. Combined for 23 wins between the 2 teams last year.
$25 million investment.
Yeah.
It's a strong ass offer.
Memphis, maybe like we said, trying to prove that they're worthy of an ACC bid. Even keeping it close would do
I'll
them
tell you
wonders.
this: if you get $25 million, he still better win. I know he got an extension.
No, so
I don't know how.
silver hair.
You don't win the AAC now that SMU is good. So they've lost Cincy, Houston, UCF, and SMU in the past 2 years.
This is the AAC.
If they don't win it this year, because Tulane won it last year,
Yeah.
then I think he's on. I think he's on the hot seat, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You might,
Especially
yeah.
with Tulane taking a step back, presumably.
Well, I do like. I mean, I think the Mike Norvell Bowl is intriguing, but the second best game of the weekend, I had it like top 10.
No.
I
Look,
don't.
sell me on another game being
I-
definitively better than this, and I'll listen.
I mean, I will when it's my turn. But I definitely think there's better rivalries out there.
There are.
Yeah. And to me,
I got lambasted last week for fucking suggesting a rivalry game, but then you say, oh, this team's expected to fall off. Well, guess what? The 2 best rivalry games on the slate, aside from West Virginia Pitt, are Wazoo and Washington, and Oregon State, and both
and Colorado State. It was an awesome game last
that's
year
true.
that drew 12 million views.
Yeah, maybe that should have gotten my vote. That's a good one.
But NC Nick, your thoughts?
Yeah, I just kind of said them there. I think it's an interesting game. I want to see what Florida State looks like with their roster turnover. As you mentioned, I think Memphis is probably the favorite to win the AAC. It's a fun out of conference matchup. 2 teams not playing each other all that often, and obviously Norvell came, to Florida State from Memphis. So a lot of interesting angles, but second best game of the weekend. That's a stretch.
Let me tell you guys why you can suck it. Okay. Is because this actually could be 2 playoff teams. This could be a playoff preview for all we freaking know. Memphis, like you said, probably on a short list of teams that has Group of 5 playoff potential. And Florida State, after an undefeated regular season last year and a shit ton of transfers from Alabama, is probably the ACC favorite. So fuck you both. It's going to be a good game.
No, I'll say this.
I agree. It
To
could be.
Patty C's credit here. Florida State opens up in Ireland against Georgia Tech week 0. And then week 1 on Labor Day, nationally televised, they host Boston College. This is the more interesting game out of the first 3 weeks, in my opinion.
Not saying a lot.
Would you agree, Nick?
I think I would.
So there is that going for you.
Yes. Yes.
There is that going for you. All right.
Trying to get our two boys ready to carry them to golf tournament for practice, right? 12 cats live across the road. Our door's open. Screen's broke. We need to get a new screen door.
You can shut it down.
Broke.
We don't have to listen to this whole thing.
They need to
Get back out of it.
Yeah,
I
that's
turn to
true.
look. There's a little kitty cat in our kitchen. So I said, "What are you doing in here, little kitty cat?" By that time, the cat turns, tries to get back out. That screen won't go that way. Cat starts going.
We're never getting
all
this
crazy.
minute of our life back.
And I told our players, we need more dogs. Bo's barking in the back. I have to go shut Bo up. Mel's like, "What's going on?" I said, "There's a cat in the house." Cat in the house? I said, "Yeah, there's a cat in the house." So I told our players, I tried to let it out the front door. The cat's still going crazy in there.
The dumbest fucking coach
You
ever.
need to be more like a dog.
Be more like a dog when you pick, Patty. See with that shit performance with your game 2 pick. All right. NC Nick, you're next on the clock. I'm trying to find the fucking music. But here we go.
Well, hey, look, it's weekday Nick. He's rearing his head or very early this week. It's technically a non-conference game, which I guess hurts it a little bit.
That hurts it some. Trust me, that does. It hurts
True.
it some, in my opinion.
But still, Friday night, Arizona at Kansas State. Similar to Patty's game, you have two teams that won a lot of football games a year ago. 10 for Arizona, including their last 7, and Kansas State won 9. Also, Jedd Fisch moving on hurts it a little bit too. But hey, look, I'm playing a Big 12 game first of all, so give me a hand for that. But one of the reasons with Texas and Oklahoma departing, I think there's a big vacuum to be filled in the Big 12, and it's going to be interesting to see what teams are the perennial favorites or teams that are going to be vying for that championship year in, year out. And this is 2 of the teams that want to be in the mix. So I think the Friday night matchup in the Little Apple should be a fun matchup.
I love this game, but I think they fucked up by doing it as a non-con game because I think there is a decent shot that this is the Big 12 championship, and the fact that this game will then be irrelevant based on who gets in the Big 12 championship.
Yeah,
I think it is a bummer for the sport, bummer for the conference, because think about this: if both teams are jockeying for position, and they have a head-to-head, which we think honestly odds-on favorite. I think Utah's 1, I think K-State's 2, and Arizona's 3.
Yeah, this is obviously a big whiff to not have this.
That's what I'm
as a
saying. Like,
conference
you really fucked this up, Brett Yormark, and I know that's not all his decision, but I'm saying like he should have talked to these universities and said we can put this game on the fucking schedule, much like Ohio State and Oregon. That was already scheduled,
right?
And they make it work.
Well, real quick, Jedd Fisch gone to Washington. Fafita, did he stay?
Yeah, Fafita, McMillan, their star, and they might get Damian Martinez, the Oregon State star running back.
That would be huge.
The other day.
Do we think though that Arizona is going to replicate last year or even be close to the same team they were without Fisch being there?
I actually thought their coach. I think Brett Brennan's better than Jedd Fisch. So but
the talent's there.
Yeah, and he brought in a bunch of his San Jose State team with him. But
I think to definitively or not, I guess you didn't say definitively. You think that he is. We don't know much about Jedd Fisch. All we know that is in his short stint as a head coach, he's done pretty well.
True, but I also got very lucky that Jaden DeLora got injured because Noah Fifita came in and balled out. When DeLora was in, they weren't looking nearly as good.
Yeah.
See the Mississippi State game. Mississippi State wasn't great.
Got a little of that
year.
Sonny Dykes luck.
But no, I mean he definitely brought in excitement to the program and stuff. But I think Brent Brennan is a good coach too, and I think he did to win at San Jose State. I think is one of the hardest jobs in America. So
how rocking is Manhattan, Kansas going to be on Friday night?
True. That's true. I mean,
it'll be dope.
There's a rumor that Bill Snyder's going to do a Jaeger bomb at the 50-yard line for the game.
Should be a tradition.
No, I mean, look, I think it's a little early because it's not a conference game. I'm just going to talk shit to all you guys. All right.
Well,
I mean, West Virginia Pitt isn't a conference game either.
Yeah. Let's be consistent here.
True, but that hasn't been a conference game for 15 years. 20
where
years?
are the conference games that
they're not in the same conference anymore?
Anywhere on this list? Where are the conference games?
They're coming.
There's one on the second game there.
There's a handful of them.
Is that really going to make your list? 2 6-win teams from last year?
I don't care about last year. I care about this year.
Well, I don't project Florida to be particularly good this year.
Okay. Well, I project Texas A&M to be a playoff team.
Well, that makes
All
this
right.
even more of an ass whooping.
Is that your pick, Colby?
That is my fucking pick. Fuck you. All right. And I think the reason why it adds to the spice, since we're talking about college football on April 24th, is Billy Napier. To me, it is essential if he wants to stay in Gainesville. It's not that he needs to kill it this year. He needs to start off hot, because if not, he's going to be fired by the time the fucking biggest cocktail party in the world.
This could be a death.
That's what I'm saying.
Death knell.
To me, I can't harp enough. The first, what is it? What is it? It's home to Miami. They get Samford, an FCS team who actually almost beat them a couple years ago, and then they're home to A&M. Then they go somewhere. Is it Texas? They play at Texas maybe after that. I don't know.
Taking me a second to pull this up.
But my point is that, like, to me, in the UCF game
at Mississippi State.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what the games they got to win are early, because you're not getting them late.
Yeah, and if they take an L to UCF in Gainesville, that's it. He'll get fired on the spot.
So I do think there's a lot of fucking drama in this game, and I like I said, when I look at A&M's schedule, I think A&M has one of the most favorable SEC schedules. If anything, you look for the landmines in A&M's schedule, and especially on the road.
This would be one of them.
This would be one of them, and especially because it's Elko week 2, and he played Notre Dame week 1. I'm sorry, week 3.
Yeah,
played Notre Dame week 1. You can even lose that game and get to the playoff, but you lose to Notre Dame and Florida, watch out. You're not going to make that.
He's not going to be fucking in any kind of heat if he loses.
Oh no, I'm talking about to make the playoff.
Make the playoff.
Yeah, which I think they have a pretty good shot at making the playoff based on their schedule.
Yeah, I think after that, if you're only 1 and 2, and you still have LSU, Missouri, Arkansas, Texas, Auburn on your schedule, yeah, you're probably cooked at that point.
It's a huge game. It's a huge game. Nick, your thoughts on Texas A&M at the Swamp?
It is a big game. It was a top 5 game for me too. It's Elko's first SEC game. Even if Florida's just an average team, it's still the Swamp, and they can still beat anybody at home. Like last year, they beat Tennessee, almost beat Florida State. And if you're looking at A&M's path, like Colby was kind of hinting at, if they can beat Notre Dame and win this game in the Swamp, then they're probably 5-0 when they take on Missouri, who's also probably 5-0 in early October. And that matchup, I think maybe the winner of that matchup does go to the playoffs. So I think this it's a big game. I'm intrigued by A&M this year. And whenever you have a coach on the hot seat, every game is big. So there's reason to pay attention to Florida too.
Well, I'll certainly be watching it. Let's be honest. But it'll be probably center TV depending on the time slot.
This is better than that Florida State Memphis bullshit.
No, it really isn't, because these two teams had a combined losing record last year. So all of our projections, this, that, the other, they fucking sucked on the field last year. And so let's call the ACC.
Florida State was what, like 5-7 the year before, 6-6, some shit like that.
Well, then they turned it around. So
yeah, but I'm saying if you look at the year before, you can't base all of it on the year before.
Well, I'm not. I'm basing it on like the 3 years before for Florida, and the year before last for A&M. All right, wait, when was the last time A&M was really good? 3-4 years ago. COVID. These teams have not been that good.
They did have the number 1 recruiting class.
They have high potential. Yes, both these teams have high potential, of course.
Anyway, you're a fucking idiot, and I'm okay with my decision here. But Patty, see, you are on the clock. You get a chance to totally redeem yourself.
In terms of teams with success last year, there are better options than the one I'm going to pick. But in terms of drama and dynamite TV, there were few games better last year. And I think that both these teams are improving probably drastically. And in-state rivalry, give me that, baby. Buffs at Rams.
Yes, the Rocky Mountain Showdown, Colorado State. I almost played this over, and this is the argument you make, is the animosity between these two. You saw cheap shots last year. You saw shit talk back and forth between the fucking head coaches.
Oh yeah,
and the players and the fans.
Yeah, I mean Shadur and Travis Hunter are projected 2 of the top 3 picks in the draft. You have star power. There's no doubt about that.
Well, and then you add in Colorado's man enough to play at Fort Collins. Thank you, Colorado. Look, a lot of schools don't do this shit.
Don't give them that much credit.
No, Colorado does this shit.
For a group of 5 to have a home and home series, yes, I agree. That is Kudos to Colorado.
And it's also the Centennial Cup. That's what they're playing for. And look, this is actually older than West Virginia Pitt, the backyard brawl. This goes back to 1893.
This used to be a heater in the 90s.
That's what I'm saying, dude. This rivalry has hatred. Like there's true hatred. There's animosity between the cities. Me and NC Nick were in Fort Collins. I'm telling you, I went to high school with a guy from Fort Collins. And he fucking hated Colorado more than anybody. That was like the one school he would want to lose more than anybody. NC Nick, your thoughts on the Rocky Mountain Showdown?
I mean, you guys said it all. The only thing I can add is that you love when you see the P4 playing at a G5. You kind of circle that and say potential upset. And fantastic game a season ago. All the reason in the world to tune in for this year too. So this is why this is like a mini rivalry week here, because you do have some of these in-state showdowns. So I can't wait to watch this one.
Where did you have this one, buddy?
I had it just outside the top 5.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Too late for him. NC Nick.
Could be. Let me say too early for him.
No, the game will
time
kick
wise,
too
right?
late.
Oh, too late. Oh yeah.
Well, it's TBD right now, but maybe
It's going to be prime time. Let's be honest. Prime time, they give him prime time. They did last year. He had college game day and big noon kickoff at this game last year. He interviewed back to back, like 10 minutes apart on both sets. The hype's going to be there. You want to talk about everything being in Colorado's favor and still barely pulling it out last year. All the animosity, a road crowd this time.
Oh, remember Travis Hunter got, and honestly, this is kind of the game that ruined Colorado's season. Because that dude, that cheap shot at Travis Hunter.
That's right.
Travis Hunter was out for like 5 or 6 weeks after that, and Colorado lost every game.
Which, to be Colby, a diehard, lifelong Colorado fan, calls it a cheap shot now. But
no, but I'm saying they refer to it as a cheap shot. I don't have a problem with it.
There you go.
It's a rivalry game. Those type of hits should happen.
That's how it should.
Yeah.
That's how it should work.
But I'm saying, like, if you're talking to the guy,
little bit of a cheap shot.
If you're at the
Little bit
grocery store and say, if you describe
if you
the play,
refer to that play as a cheap shot.
Yeah, if you describe the play, they're not going to know what you're talking about. But then you say, no, the cheap shot.
No,
they'll say, oh, okay.
Of course.
You know,
of course.
That was not a cheap shot. That was rivalry football, and that's the way it fucking should be. All right. Anyway, enough about the Rocky Mountain Showdown. I can't wait for it personally. How do you think Colorado State will be this year? I think Colorado State's going to make this is the year they make a bowl. This is where they jump to make a bowl.
Definitely. It's been a slow trajectory. It's still pointing upwards. They do make a bowl this year.
Well, you guys remind me, what was Mike Norvell's like overall
track record in general? Like he did the same thing at Nevada. I feel
not
like.
Norvell. Mike
Norvell, or not Mike? Jay Norvell.
Jay Norvell.
Yeah,
they were good for a hot minute. I got them.
Well, no, I mean, look, it took it. I think at year 1 at Nevada, he was like 3-9 or something, and then you know, I think year 2 they
3-9, 8-5, 7-6, 7-2 in 2020, and then 8-4.
Buddy Ryan guy, 3-9 at Colorado State, 5-7 last year. But if you dive into that schedule, you know they were very like the Colorado game. I mean, that was very close to being a win. They lost by 2 at UNLV. Lost by single digits at Wyoming, lost by 3 to Hawaii on the island. That's a bad loss though. But
when he took over,
it was a mess with the Dazio. Yeah.
And he had to completely change the system.
Anyone that's got to follow Steven Dazio, it's a fucking goddamn disaster. All right.
You got a bunch of guards. You got like a team full of guards.
Yeah,
like,
trying to run the
no
spread.
skill positions.
Oh, you know, like you got half the team suspended. All right. So you know, they might have been involved in a murder charge. But anyway, no, I mean, I think this game's going to be pretty fire this year. It's funny the amount of hate that comes at Colorado. Now I know Dion also
brings a lot of it on.
He brings it on. He does. But I also think that's his genius in a way to cause attention.
Yeah.
But it is hilarious. I feel like a lot of other podcasts like to shit on it when they were the one they're saying, oh, they were 4-8 last year. That was 3 wins better than the year before. Yeah. And they had like 5 close losses, I feel like. Yeah. So I mean, it's like
they had one of the biggest choke jobs of all time
against Stanford, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they also had like the Travis Hunter game. There was a couple games. They almost beat Utah. I mean,
they gave USC a game. I guess that doesn't mean as much. But
that one was kind of tricky though, because USC was up a lot.
Yeah.
That one is like the one where I would say it's kind of bullshit, the final score. But the other ones I think were legit.
Kind of, but
But how is it not? If any other coach in the world now, Dion does bring on some of this himself. If you took a 1-11 team to 4-8, like we just talked about Norvell coming in, and winning 3 his first season
And then
at
going-
Nevada, and then he goes to 8.
Or 5 and 7.
No, at Nevada though. I'm saying.
at Nevada.
Yeah. It's like that's an unbelievable job. He came in and won 3 times the amount of games as the year before.
4 times, I guess.
4 times. Yeah. 4 times.
Yeah. I mean, pretty impressive. I guess 4 and 8 still not that impressive, but yeah, you can't complain about the improvement in all.
Dude, if
facets.
Travis Hunter doesn't get injured there, they go bowling.
Yeah, probably.
They go bowling.
Anyway,
yeah. NC Nick, you're on the clock. Where you going?
Let's go a little TMZ here. Maybe this game wouldn't be as great if it was played a year ago, but arguably the best coach in college football ever has retired in Nick Saban. So Alabama's road trip at Wisconsin in Camp Randall, DeBauer's first big test after, facing 2 P5 teams the first couple of weeks. Wisconsin wasn't very good last year, but I think this is an interesting matchup to see where both of these teams are at. Is Fickle going to have a better year in year 2? One more year to get the Dairy Raid going.
You got Van Dyke coming in from Miami, but this is interesting with the Dairy Raid. I'll say this. I think it's correctly played here. And it is intriguing because I'm still like, I think I look pretty smart about my Luke Fickle year 1. Sorry, bet detective CJ Sullivan, but
some people were calling for them to win like double digits.
Yeah, he had the future for them to win the Big Ten, and I was like, dude, this shit ain't gonna work. I'm still a skeptic. I still thought Cincy's schedules were kind of light. I thought there was a lot of benefit to that. I'm still a skeptic on the hire. Now. This is a series that does go back to 1928, and it's dead even 1-1.
The rubber match.
Because
all
Wisconsin
these years later.
shut out Bama in 28-15-0. You take that, Roll Tide. Put that in your fucking hat. All right. And in Arlington, Texas, for some stupid reason, they played in a season opener in 2015.
Complaining about 2015.
No, I just hate neutral site
complaining
games,
about 20.
I hate, the
1958.
The one in 28 was the one in 28 was in Madison.
Oh, was it 1928?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The way college football is supposed to be. The one in 2015 was one of these corporate NFL bullshit games where Alabama won 35-17.
Alabama took the train up to Wisconsin that year.
That's what I'm saying.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying. You had to that was for real. Football was for
Grueling
real.
Train ride.
Dude.
Yeah.
I read a book I think like a year ago about that where someone played at Marquette. They had to take the train. I think
it took them a week to get there.
Yeah, they play at back when Marquette had a football team. And but he was talking about, the guy said he would never trade it. He was like, those train rides were the best. He goes,
I bet they're fucking lit.
And he became a coach, and he said once he became a coach and we started like to fly later, he was like, you lose a little bit because before you as a team you stay on the train for like multiple days.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like this matchup. This is Luke Fickle. You want to get my attention? Because I do think like that was a questionable move for me. For them to.
Well, part of what made him so good at Cincinnati was that he was able to put the fence around Cincinnati from a recruiting.
Even with that, they didn't blow out like. Yes, he did.
They got really good,
but still, they had close wins against like shitty East Carolina teams.
Yeah,
like they're like to me, it wasn't their like. Yes, they got really good, but they also were more talented than most of the conference.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen at Wisconsin.
I agree.
So that's where it's going to be interesting, but. I like this matchup. Jump around. House of Pain shit will be going on third quarter.
Pretty early.
Madison will be rocking.
I'm drawing a blank on the Alabama coach.
Kalen
DeBauer. Yeah. DeBauer, pretty early in his tenure. I guess it's probably not too big of an issue for him to be installing like a more pass-oriented thing. Alabama's been throwing the ball around for a while now. So, but even still, I mean, they'll have a humongous talent advantage. But it's a hostile environment and it's early in his tenure. There's a chance Wisconsin, if they're improved, can make this close or even pull an upset.
Yeah.
Wish it was a little later in the fall, but it probably won't be cold. What is this?
No, this
February
won't be cold.
or still
February.
September rather. I'm all over the fucking place.
CTE.
Last year, Wisconsin, a bunch of close losses. Only lost to LSU by 4 in the bowl game down in Tampa.
No one played for LSU.
Okay.
Yeah, and those close losses were to bad Big Ten West teams.
You can no longer look
Indiana.
at bowl games with credit.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
really can't.
They weren't very good last year,
Yeah.
Wisconsin. So this is I would say that's the obvious problem with this pick is like it only is a good game if Wisconsin's way better than they were last year.
Yeah, LSU has 3 players that are going to be drafted in the first round tomorrow night that didn't play in that bowl game. So if they played, it might have been a little bit different.
Detail.
All right. Jumps back to old Pick Dundee here. But before I do that, actually no, I'll make my pick. Then I'll get us paid. But I'm going to take you to the likes of, I want to take the Civil War, but I can't because of the shape of Oregon State's program right now.
Yeah,
But I do think Washington State can beat Washington right now. They lost Cam Moore, but they bring in Ekos, this quarterback from the FCS that I really think is decent. And the fact that Washington lost their whole goddamn team, half it to the NFL draft, the other half to Alabama, I think they're vulnerable. I think the Cougs can make a statement at Seaman Field, whatever they call that shit.
I think that matters too because Washington State is going to have just as the opportunity for as many tickets as Washington, and I'm sure there's a shit ton of Washington State graduates that live in Seattle. So the fact that it's not at Washington and is technically neutral site, even though it's the same city as UW, I think that matters a lot actually.
Yeah. I mean, I think that might a little bit. I don't know about as much as you, but look, back to 1900, they've been playing this game. So 124 years of history here.
Depending on the percentage of tickets that are allotted to one fan base or the other, I would think if it's only like 10,000 to each fan base and the rest is up for grabs, I would think Washington would have the massive advantage from a home.
I don't know about that because I think every Washington State person that lives anywhere near there wants to go and stick it to Washington.
Especially with their new schedule.
Yeah,
it's like, do we catch Utah State? What's the one game we should go to all year?
Yeah.
The Apple Cup, because who cares about Utah State coming into? I can speak for my.
And also, I think a lot of Washington fans are looking at Ohio State and Michigan and thinking Big Ten. I think this game means so much more to Washington State than Washington.
Well, and look, Jake Dickert is 1-2 against Washington. He won 40-13 in his first matchup in Seattle. That was with Jimmy Lake. Then DeBauer comes in. He beats him by 18 in Pullman in 22. And then last year, Washington State had it, man. They blew it. They lost by 3 in Seattle. I honestly think they can get this one. It could go either way, but I'm saying Washington lost so much that I think they're vulnerable here. So I love this game. This should always be on the schedule. Now, here's the problem. It's like Colorado, Nebraska last week. This should be the final week of the season. You fucking losers. Look, if Clemson can figure it out with South Carolina, those are 2 different conferences, SEC and ACC right now.
Same with Kentucky, Louisville.
Yes.
Same with Georgia Tech, Georgia.
Make it fucking work, Washington.
Florida State, Florida.
Exactly. This should be the final week of the season, like it always has been. You filthy whores. Guess when they played back in 1900? November 30th. All right. Fuck you. Put it the final game of the season. This is the first ever matchup in September. It's disgusting. But
at least it's on the schedule.
Yeah, at least it's on the schedule. So
how much did Washington State lose
in the portal? They didn't get hit as bad as Washington. Washington's whole team
didn't get hit as bad as Oregon State, presumably.
Yeah, not as bad as Oregon State.
Yeah, I mean, Dickert's still there.
Yeah, he beat Luke Fickell last year.
Dude, that's huge.
Well, and that's why they didn't get hit in the portal as bad because they kept
coaching continuity.
Coach.
Yeah.
Dickert is hovered around 500 for his entire tenure. Jedd Fisch, 1 win in his first year at Arizona, 1-11. Maybe he's the type of guy that takes a couple years to get it going. Maybe a couple weeks is too fast to expect him to get it going.
They're starting Will Rogers State Beach.
He's got some reps,
but still, I mean, he's a fucking lawn chair. Look.
It's better than starting a straight, rookie.
He's a rookie with Jedd Fisch's offense. He's run an air raid before.
Yeah,
he still has started in the SEC for 2 years. So
true.
No, I would actually favor Wazoo in this game. I think if I had to,
that's why it's so key. If they would have played this in Pullman, I think Washington State would have definitely won.
Yeah.
Now it's like in Seattle, you're like, I don't know.
It's going to be a good game though.
But yeah. Anyway, Nick, anything else you want to say on the Apple Cup?
Nope. Great game. I'll be watching.
All right. Next up, Patty C.
There are other games, but I'm going to stick with a theme that is going to get me criticized again, but I have higher expectations of at least one of these teams, if not both of these teams, and I think you guys do. That is Tulane traveling to Oklahoma again.
Almost knocked them off a couple years ago. Had the lead with 5 minutes left.
An 11-win Tulane team against a 10-win Oklahoma team from last year. Two pretty good teams. Tulane's been doing it for several years in a row. Is the loss of Willie Fritz?
I was about to say Tulane. I think the big panic is, can Tulane maintain what Fritz has built? Because prior to Willie Fritz, Tulane had about 20 years of losing. You know what I mean? So look, they hadn't had a winning season since 2002 until Fritz in 2018. So 16 years without a winning season there, right? Yeah. No, they had one. I'm sorry, they had a 7-6 in 2013. So one winning season in 16 years. They were not
good for a long time, and they sucked for a lot before that too. I know that Rich Rod had them good for a minute there, but I feel like they were
in the late 1900s or the
yeah. God, we're old. Okay.
NC Nick, Tulane at Oklahoma. Your thoughts?
You know what I've noticed is that all three of Patty C's picks now have had a G5 opponent in there. It's all been G5 versus P4,
and that's what's going
on over there.
That's why he doesn't want this playoff.
He's trying to shed the TMZ label.
He is, yeah.
I am caught in the act here.
Now Oklahoma is 2-0 all time.
Rebrand.
They are 2-0 all time against Tulane, but they were supposed to play in New Orleans the last one, and they would have lost. Judging how we saw that game,
yeah,
it was a 40-35 game where Tulane and Michael Pratt had the ball driving. He fumbles, or no, he runs for a fourth down. He's like a half yard short.
Yeah. Then I feel like they almost got the onside kick.
Yeah.
Oklahoma barely hung on in that game.
But I do want to see what Tulane looks like though, because let's see if they've gotten to the level where they're kind of coach proof, or if it was all the coach. So I'll be watching.
I do like the hire though. I do like the Summerall hire.
Sure.
I think they were smart there, and obviously he brings in like a shit ton of Troy players, which is the new norm.
Which is good because they've been good.
Well, one of the big things is he was able to retain the quarterback that hit the portal, Kai Horton.
Yeah,
that was a guy that played pretty well without Michael Pratt. Showed some promise.
He came in year one at Troy, 12-2, followed it with an 11-2 campaign. All he does is a win. Maybe he can go to Oklahoma.
And they brought in some big name transfers, man. I mean, like from big universities. They got transfers from UCF, Oregon, USC, Alabama, LSU coming in. So maybe those guys can pay off. I don't know. NC Nick, you said you're excited for this one or no?
June. I have maybe 5 other games ahead of it. Again, Patty C's reaching. He's reaching.
I am not. And let me tell you what.
It's like if you drafted Will Levis in the top 5 or something.
Let me tell you what. This is also 2 teams that have playoff potential. I know you guys aren't as high as on Oklahoma as I am. I've seen some people out there prognosticating that Oklahoma will beat Alabama when Alabama goes to Lincoln this year. I agree with them.
Lincoln.
Or Norman. Sorry, I always get those confused, and I really
that could happen. I don't think Alabama's gonna be some juggernaut this year. They lost this guy named Saban.
I'm just saying, Oklahoma going to be toward the top of the SEC year one, and Tulane. I'm one of like 5 or 6 teams in the FCS that's right now being considered for the playoff. So good fucking game. Fuck you both again.
Interesting. I don't know if I would have Tulane in the top 5 or 6. My first thought.
Yeah, spit it out right now. Who do you got? Boise, JMU, obviously.
ECU,
Charlotte.
I think ECU did an amazing job in the portal. Charlotte's in there.
San Diego State.
San Diego State with Sean Lewis. Tedford at Fresno. Memphis with Silverfish and all that $25 million NIL money.
That's like 6 teams.
Okay, after that, maybe they fit in. Air Force is ahead of them. Air Force is ahead of them with Calhoun. He wins like 10 games every year.
All right, but what? Yeah, are you seriously going to put Charlotte ahead of Memphis this year?
No.
Okay.
Not Charlotte, but they're close.
Or Tulane, rather. They're right there. I mean, no. Are they on Boise's level? Probably not. Are they on
Fresno's level? No.
Probably not. But after that, I think they're probably pretty even with everyone else. San Diego State maybe has an edge.
Would you put Air Force ahead of them? I would.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. All right. It's still a fun game. A fun game.
Enjoy.
But you did miss out on some other opportunities.
Nice beaver.
True.
All right. Patty C's gone to the shitter. He's going to the shitter. NC Nick, it's on you, buddy. Where are you taking us?
To the Beavers. I mean, look, usually the Civil War, Oregon State would be top 3 or top 5. I understand and agree with the fact that it's dropping down a bit, but it's still top 10, damn it. And if this is the ninth, if it's the 9th pick, we have to take it here. At least it's in Corvallis. Obviously, I'm still afraid that it might be a blowout just because Oregon State is a shell of itself from last year. And
well, that's
Oregon,
what hurts about it being week 3. If it was the end of the year, you'd have you'd be like, they have all year to figure out who they are.
Right.
But with it being week 3, it's like, man, you have to put together, like, your whole staff is gone. Your whole fucking team is gone.
It could be 55-10. It really could be.
Yeah.
But maybe, just maybe, there's some magic in Corvallis.
Reser Stadium there, yes.
Maybe. Again, it's going to be packed. It's going to be crazy. I don't know how competitive it is, but God damn it, it's a Civil War. It belongs to be played in the top 10 at least.
I mean, Oregon State's won the last 2 in Corvallis.
There you go.
They've won 3 of the last 4 in Corvallis. Oh, man, come on. Let's go. I mean, you got to play it. I'm with you.
Nice beaver.
I think it's one of the best, this dates back to 1894. So almost as old as Colorado State.
Wow.
Older than a couple of the other ones, including the Backyard Brawl. It's 1 year older than the Backyard Brawl. And like I said, it's been a fair rivalry of late. I know, like, historically, Oregon has like a 20-game lead, but Oregon State's won the last 2 in Corvallis. They've won 3 of the last 4. Patty C, your thoughts on the Civil War being played here?
So the fact that it's in Corvallis is awesome.
Yeah, but at week 3, we were just talking about, like, they won't have the team. Like, that's why week 12 is awesome.
Sure.
Because you have the new coach. Well, don't worry. He has a year to figure this out.
Yeah.
To the end of the year.
Yeah. And Oregon figures to be a really strong team this year again. So in all likelihood, Oregon comes in. The environment will certainly be lit. Is this the first game when they have this new stadium completed?
Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully a lit environment there.
I mean, they're the first Civil War game. They play a home game to Idaho State week 1.
Okay,
yeah,
true. That's
yeah.
true. The team looks wonderful in the renderings. I haven't seen pictures of it live yet, obviously. So I don't know. I mean, of course, this is a great game, but I do expect Oregon to kind of beat them up. But still, as far as lit environments, this might be the top. Maybe Pitt, West Virginia will be better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it'll be right there, and they'll really want to. Folks, before we get to our next round, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, the NBA playoffs are here, and our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, wants to make it a little more interesting for you out there. Let me tell you, Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and much, much more. And look, you can make entries for all basketball. You can line up your whole roster with NBA playoff guys, but you also could mix and match. Maybe you want to touch a little bit of the NHL playoffs. Maybe you want to touch some MLB regular season action, some ULF football, some spring football. You can mix and match. That's what's great. A lot of other platforms, I've never heard of any other platform doing that. And you can win up to 100 times the amount of money you enter, and it's a ton of fun. Underdog's available in 30 plus states, including California, Texas, and even Canada. So what the hell are you doing, folks? Hop on over there and sign up. And sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN. Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code TCE SGPN. All right, we are back, and shout out to the chat. Chat's rocking along. Shout out to Justice Perfect. Hey, Kobe, what's up? And Timothy Green saying Washington State kept their quarterback. No, Cam Ward went to Miami, but they went out and got a FCS quarterback, Zevi Ekos from Bryant, who was a baller last year. Subscribe to the FCS college football experience. Check it out. But all right, back to me here. You guys disappoint me. There's some games out there that are worthy of being selected here. Now, Civil War always deserves to be in the top 10, so I can't. But I'm gonna take a shot.
This is number 10, also, right?
Yeah, number 10, right? Take a shot on Brian Kelly and his family coming into Columbia, South Carolina. It's a make or break year for the Beamer family in Columbia. LSU, Nussmeier, son of former NFL quarterback Doug Nussmeier, Garrett Nussmeier. He's taken over the reins, and Brian Kelly has been. How would you grade his 2 years at LSU right now?
Good.
B.
Not great. Yeah.
Like, to me, it's like Orgeron won a natty there. If you don't win a natty, Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
I thought last year they were a little disappointing to me.
They were, yeah.
Yeah, like I was just saying, they're gonna have at least 3 first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
But the offense wasn't the problem. It was the defense last year.
Yeah,
Defense was
they
awful.
were in the hundreds. That's my
Now
point.
They lost Denbrock. Yeah.
That's my point, though, is that to me, like, I would say I thought Brian Kelly. Now I know he played for the SEC championship year 1 by knocking off Bama with that 2-point conversion, but overall, I kind of thought LSU would be a little better by this point.
Well, there's no excuse for LSU to be that bad on defense. The amount of talent they can bring in there. I mean, they were calling themselves DBU for a while. There is absolutely no reason why they should be that bad defensively. So that is definitely on Brian Kelly.
That's a coaching thing.
Well, I would also say, it's actually like had me think Brian Kelly might not be as good as a coach as I thought he was. Getting swept by Florida State, and then like they gave up 55 points to Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss.
To be fair,
Yeah.
they could have won either of those games against Florida State, even though they ended up getting pieced up by Florida State.
I would say the
this past
first
year.
one more so than last year.
It was down to an extra point in the first one, but last year, an overtime extra
They're still
point.
outplayed by Florida State in both.
They were, yeah, maybe slightly, obviously, in year 1. They dominated Florida State in the first quarter, and after three quarters, that game was pretty even still between. I think it was like a 1-score game after 3 quarters, if I'm not mistaken, and then Florida State just dominated them in the fourth. But they got desperate. I think that score doesn't actually represent the game itself. What
about giving up 55 to Ole Miss?
They did have a terrible defense. Yeah, their defense sucked, and I think you put that on Brian Kelly. Maybe you put some of that on Denbrock. You run an offense that,
So look, he's
is
been there.
fast-paced.
I would love to know this if someone out there had this information. So he has been there 2 years. He gave up what? So he's given up 40 points. How many times here? I'm doing the math quickly. 1, 2. Man, he gave up 50 to Georgia. I'm thinking 3. 4, 5, 6, 7.
Well,
8. Am I seeing no? What is it? 7 times? 2 years? 40 or more?
Yeah,
technically 39 or more.
Brian Kelly has always been fucking soft and finesse. I don't care if he leaned into, finally figured out that the bread and butter of Notre Dame is the fact that they can recruit elite ass offensive linemen left and right, and they finally did and started running the ball, had a more balanced attack. But still, when they played good teams, they got pushed around. Alabama, no, of course, everyone gets pushed around by Alabama. Still, now it's no surprise when he faces a team where he doesn't have a huge advantage on the line of scrimmage. They're soft again. I think that's just what Brian Kelly is. And let me remind the people that we had a lock battle, preseason win total last year.
What's true?
And you thought Brian Kelly was going to win the SEC.
Well, I thought he was a great coach, and I am mistaken. Now, I played this game. Even though LSU holds a 19-2 all-time lead, including 7 straight. But get this, they haven't been to Columbia, South Carolina since the Bush administration. 2008. What in the fuck? Are you even in the same conference?
George W. or George H?
Yeah, right.
They won by 7. In 2008, they won by 7 against South Carolina. I'm just saying, I think it's a good game. I think it could be a little tricky. And I actually think for Beamer, he's going to need some, the problem with Beamer is he's had Beamer magic late. Time's running out on that. You need to have some early season
Beamer consistency.
Yeah.
Beamer magic's one thing. Beamer bowling is another thing.
They look like shit always in the beginning of the year. They always close strong to me.
Yeah. I don't think this is that good of a game.
I think you hit the nail on the head. If this was in Baton Rouge, it would be in the 20s for me, like 25th or something. The fact that it's in or at South Carolina, I think that gives them a chance.
Williams-Brice will be rocking.
And I do think at this point, I think you could go lots of different directions without me arguing too much.
Let's see what South Carolina's record will be going into this game. They open with
Old Dominion,
ODU, and then
loss.
at Kentucky.
No, it's probably a closer game than we think.
If they're 2-0 though,
they're going to be. They could be 2-0.
They got to go to Lexington.
I'm going to say 1-1.
Yeah, probably. But if they are 2-0, then certainly the environment will be incredible. Williams-Brice is no joke.
No, that's a great home environment. That's what I'm saying. It's tricky, and I think for LSU, we find out a little bit. They get USC week 1. Now week 3, you're at South Carolina. So if they beat USC week 1 and they're feeling great about themselves, I can see this as a possible upset landmine spot. So Patty C doesn't like my play though. It goes to you, buddy. What do you got better than that? What do you got better?
Looking around. According to
I'm SEC Colby. I played. My
are.
fucking picks are SEC games.
You are SEC Colby at this point. You might be right. There might not be a ton else that's even competitive with this game. Sorry, I'm not better prepared here. Off the top, just looking. I got nothing. Throw some. You know what? I got one, and you guys are gonna. And I'm gonna stay with the theme here.
I'm picking nothing. It's a show about nothing.
Pass. What are you, the Vikings?
I'm sticking with the theme here, and we're going into the state of Texas, right? And it's as Texas as
I
it
like
gets.
this one because it's right after the Michigan game.
And we got UTSA traveling to Austin.
They had Texas on the ropes before Frank Harris got injured. Remember that shit?
A couple years ago.
I don't.
Couple years ago, that we were watching it here, and you just probably done 20 Jaeger bombs, but that was like a pretty close game in the late third, mid third, and Frank Harris gets injured, and that was that after that
was it.
Texas put it on.
He's not here anymore, so unfortunately.
Well, still, at least they know that coming in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he is still there. He runs their NIL collective.
Not that I'm hating on this game specifically, but again, there's a lot of P4 versus P4 teams, and Patty C goes G5 versus P4 again.
He's trying to change especially when he has the rivalry that he's defended so many times. NC Nick, that's on the board, and he defends. He defends it so much.
Let me tell you this:
he's not drafting it.
Let me tell you this. One of the metrics I think that makes sense to use in terms of picking games is the combined win total of the teams from the previous season. I have the top 3 games of combined win total on the board.
So you are TMZ, Pat.
No, I just understand. I'm not taking a 4-8 team versus. Actually, I did take that one. So never mind. But okay, so I'm not TMZ. See, that's how I saved myself. I went 4-8 versus 5-7. But every other game I played, both teams have at least 9 wins. So,
but that's not going to hold up.
It's
this
just
year.
called quality football. I'm sorry you guys don't like it, you fucking hipsters. All right. If that makes me TMZ that I like 2 good teams playing against
you
each other.
realize Texas made the Invitational last year. It means they're definitely not going to. I mean, their track record over the past 50 years, they normally never have great back-to-back seasons.
Fair. I mean, I don't know. Yes, probably true, but Sarkisian has it rolling. He turned down the Alabama job.
He's the guy. He's got a quarterback controversy though.
And all I need to see is UTSA beat Texas, and this becomes like game of the year.
Please, I would love it. Yeah. It would be game of the year. NC Nick, your thoughts on the Roadrunners taking on the Longhorns?
Maybe if Frank Harris was back for his 7th season or something, and maybe if it was in San Antonio, I could get behind it. But I'm afraid this game might not be all that competitive.
Fair.
Talking that shit. NC Nick, you're on the clock. Where are you going?
I'm going to go back to the Big 12, actually. And this is the first ever matchup between these 2 teams, even though it's a conference game. Welcome to realignment. UCF at TCU. I think it's a fascinating game, even though it's kind of maybe off the radar because both teams are below average last year or right around average.
Well, this is like a group of 5 like national championship.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Group of 5
Exactly.
royalty matchup,
Right?
Yeah.
And also the same thing I said applies, for the Arizona Kansas State game applies to these two teams. Yeah, TCU is desperate to prove that last year, or actually that 2 years ago, wasn't a fluke, and that last year the 5-7 record was the aberration, and they're a team that can compete for Big 12 titles. And meanwhile, we've always said UCF has such a high ceiling due to their proximity to talent, due to the size of the university, due to a rabid fan base. Their first year as a major conference opponent, 6-6. Can they make the next step? Can they build off that and get to the point where they're one of the top teams in the conference competing for championships?
Let's talk about this.
Well, they are recruiting like champions.
Yes. Now, let me ask you, though, about UCF, because Gus Malzahn, his first 2 years at UCF, he went 9-4 and 9-5, but they didn't win the AAC. He enters Big 12 play. They go 6-7 in his first year in 2023 in a Power 5. Is he on the hot seat?
Lost to Georgia Tech in the bowl game. That's not a great look.
How much better of a coach is UCF going to get than Gus Malzahn?
I don't think they're thinking about that. I think they're thinking like, where's our results here?
Where's the momentum?
How did you not play for a AAC championship?
Well, Cincinnati was in the way one of those years. They beat Cincinnati.
Who was the other year?
Who won
Cincinnati,
it?
I think it was
Tulane.
both, right?
No, I think they beat Cincinnati.
Oh, it was Tulane the second one. You're right. You're right. And then last year, 6-7. You okay with that? KJ Jefferson coming in at quarterback.
Year 1 in the Big 12, you go bowling. I think you're okay with that.
Yeah, I think you're okay with it just because it's year 1. But
they went 3-6 in conference, though.
Right. That's why this year is so big.
It is a big year for him,
and it's a big year for TCU also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does any amount of losses get either of these coaches fired this year?
No, maybe Malzahn. Like if he goes 6-6 this year or 6-7,
he's safe.
You think so?
Yes.
Year 4?
If he's bowling again, he's safe.
Scott Frost is out there.
I kind of think
true.
Patty's probably right. Like the train would really have to go.
You
off
got
the
a guy
track.
that went undefeated with you, just sitting there unemployed.
Yeah, I feel like the UCF folks would go after that too.
They would.
What if TCU goes 5-7 again?
I don't think they'll fire him because he went to the national championship in his first year, and I think that buys you enough. But I was a skeptic of the hire. I'm still a skeptic of the hire.
I think it would take a 2-10 season for Sonny Dykes to get fired. Maybe 3.
I don't think he gets fired. He just was in the national championship.
2-10 though, you are trending in the very wrong direction over a 3-year
They
period.
got to give him at least one more year.
Maybe
Right?
I would can them if they go 2-10, depending on how they look. Right,
Fucking Patty C.
I mean, you could obviously say that was not his team. How long did it take
True.
Larry Coker to get? I mean, I guess it probably took him a
But
few.
still, you could just say, hey, 14 months ago, or no, 20 months ago, we were in the national championship.
Something we've never done.
And they beat the next team's national championship on the way there.
That's
to
true.
next year's.
Yeah.
So
kind of slapped Michigan around.
Yeah, never trailed. Timothy Green, shout out to Tim. He says UCF's quarterbacks were hurt in the bowl game, so that's fair. So maybe 6-6 is what we should say.
I thought what's his name played in the bowl game. I thought I looked at this I thought I looked at it. Yeah, I thought him and Harvey played in the bowl game. Maybe they got banged up in it, or
yeah.
I'm pull it up real quick because
I
thought
in the rain. That was like a downpour. That was awesome. That was
I mean,
football should be.
Plumlee threw for 200, and Harvey ran for 120.
No, so they did play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I mean, did they get hurt during it? Potentially, but they definitely played at least the majority of the game.
Yeah. So there's that.
Good game. Both teams
good
could.
Pick.
Both teams could bounce back and have 8 or 9 win seasons.
It is a cool game.
Yeah.
It is a cool game. I'll give you that. But there's better on the.
What do we call blue blood? G5 blue blood. Because there's not blue blood. Purple blood.
Well, now that
bluish blood.
You don't really get this much because you normally don't see it where they're now P5 going up against each other. It's like when Louisville was in the CUSA and they jumped up. They didn't play any other CUSA teams in conference. You know what I mean?
Wait. Yeah, they started playing the likes of Pitt and Syracuse.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm saying.
So
I guess Cincy might have jumped up with them. It was a CUSA team, I think, too. But
eventually, yeah.
Yeah. Either way, folks, if you're listening to this on the on YouTube, stay put. On the audio side, we're going to close this thing out though. Make sure you subscribe to the College Football Experience. Give us the 5 stars, all that good stuff. Hit that like, subscribe button. YouTube.com/the College Experience. But like I said, on YouTube, stay put. We got a bunch more draft picks going here on the College Football Experience. So as always, you better start thinking about yours. All right, we are back on the College Football Experience, and do I got some plays for you? Get the fuck out of here with this other shit you guys are playing. I'm on the board here. I'm here to pick some winners. All right, clearly the fans are listening to us.
They're begging us. Please have a party. Feed us drinks. Get us laid. Ow!
I'm just saying, if you want this to happen, we're going to G Vegas.
There we go.
Because I've had enough of this cockamamie bullshit here. All right, I really have had enough of it. Last season, ECU had a halftime lead. App State got lucky, came back, got some hometown cooking there in Boone. All right.
Nate Knoll ran for 200 yards. I don't know if that's lucky.
And then the time before that, it was some bullshit neutral site game in Charlotte. All right. Last time they came to Greenville, they lost 35-13. The time before that, they lost 29-24.
Tell me those years.
2012, 2009, and also in 78, they lost 33-8 in Greenville.
So when App State was in the FCS, gotcha.
In 76, when they came to Greenville, they lost 35-7. They haven't won in Greenville. Let me get this straight. Since 1959. All right.
It's a stat.
So get the fuck out of here with your little Mountaineers. App State at East Carolina. God bless whoever does the schedule is. And the Carolinas, I love how they all play each other.
Hell yeah.
That should be a case study for the rest of college football on
and
how
Virginia.
you should do this. Yeah.
And Virginia.
Yeah. They've been playing this since fucking 1932. All right. This is a rivalry game. You're coming into to G Vegas. You're going to get so fucked up, Sean Clark. You're going to wish they fired you last season. All right. Because I'll tell you that right now. I know they extended him too, but
little detail there.
Right after the Clemson game too. They're gonna fuck you up, buddy.
ECU was 2-10 last year. Talking a lot of trash. A lot of trash.
Set out to defend our name. We're gonna.
Yeah, I don't know, Patty. Maybe this is the game where Houston gets fired after App State puts them over their knee and just rams it up their ass again.
Man. I mean, ECU, I do feel like the home field advantage is a big factor here for them.
Oh, especially in this game. If it was Tulsa coming to town,
not so much.
It might not be as. This one's gonna matter.
Yeah,
this one's gonna matter.
It will matter.
Yeah.
I fully anticipate a very close game. I mean, look, you were pretty high on Houston after 2 seasons ago. You came into the
always been a skeptic on his special teams, though.
Sure, but I mean, like
I think about that NC State game once every 3
the
hours.
NC State every 3 hours.
Yeah,
still haunting Colby. I mean, and look, they were probably at least as good a team as NC State was 2 years ago. NC State was what, a 9-win team that beat Florida
State.
State.
Punt, and you have a missed extra point and 3 field goals missed. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I think Mike Houston. I still believe him to be a good coach, although last year was a disaster. So. Yeah. They better improve. And but App State does not take a step. They're kind of like, I don't know. They're consistent. Maybe it's the red, yellow, and black. They're Iowa-ish to me, but they actually have some offense.
Patty, maybe Mike Houston is a good coach in the FCS where there's not a transfer portal, where there's not NIL. Maybe the game's passed him by a bit.
I do think he is big into player development, and that's the kind of his bread and butter. So maybe you're onto something.
Well, I got news for you, you fucking jackasses. All right, look, it's a thing called the Boneyard Collective. All right, and I don't think you've been paying attention to what East Carolina has put up in the transfer portal. Let's just talk with first off, Hausa Caden Hauser, Michigan State starting quarterback for a few games last year, is at ECU. But more importantly, Patty C's boy Jake Garcia transfers in. Right, former Miami Hurricane that you've been sucking his cock pretty much.
He's been
right,
since high school. Since high school, I want to say he's transferred like 8 or 9 times. He hasn't spent more than 3 months in a little.
Well, do I need to add into this? Oregon tight end Casey Kelly transfers in. Ohio State defensive lineman Jaden McKenzie. West Virginia cornerback Andrew Wilson Lamp. All right. Florida State offensive lineman Quayshawn Sapp comes in. Louisville's defensive end Raheem Craig comes in. South Carolina wideout Omega Blake. Missouri
I've never heard of any of these guys.
Yeah, but my point is they're spending money. Winston Wright, you've heard of, wide receiver from Florida State, formerly in West Virginia.
Depth from Power 5 powerhouses is usually helpful.
I want to say he got the message. The Boneyard NIL collective said, "Hey, Mike Houston, you're going to be living in a van down in Houston if you don't fucking start using the portal and bringing in some talent. Capiche?"
Well, the problem with ECU is that, you know, as a whole, their school, they churn out teachers and nurses mostly. You know, not big.
Tell that to Vince McMahon's face. All right,
it's true.
All right, tell that
billions of dollars.
My guy who started the Golden Corral. There's no teacher or nurse ever step inside of a Golden fucking Corral.
Teachers, nurses, and alcoholics, I should say.
Patty C. I mean, look, we want to keep talking about this game. Isn't this game awesome?
Oh, it'll be fun.
Best G5 versus G5. Sorry, yes, Patty, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I agree. It'll be fun, but ECU will need to make some major strides before it has any real stakes.
No, I think it's great after the Clemson game because if they beat Clemson, I guarantee you ECU beats them.
Yeah, what happened after
You're right
App
about
State?
That, probably.
Did App State lose after they beat A&M?
They beat Troy on a Hail Mary.
Oh, they should have lost. Yeah,
they played shitty that game. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. So I expect ECU to get better. I think that was an aberration.
But on the same hand, though, if they lose to Clemson,
it's easy to see a tide turn.
So they're definitely going to beat ECU.
No,
motivated.
No, you don't just walk into fucking Greenfield. They haven't won since '59.
App State walked into Harrisonburg, Virginia. I was there in person, got a W against an undefeated team.
Don't
Always has to bring it up.
They're both purple.
Yeah, but one used to be a women's university.
Yeah, and that's why it's fucking great now.
And now
66%.
I mean,
chicks.
ECU's been,
and we still win.
You don't got no Vince McMahon who started 2 football leagues twice. He brought football into your fucking life. What do you got? What do you got? What does JMU got?
Can't compete with that.
All right. You hanging on the Scott Norwood, you filthy piece of shit.
Charles Mann. Oh, you know.
Charles Mann.
Or Charles Haley.
Charles Mann's from Nevada.
Charles Haley, just was the biggest Super Bowl winner of all times up until Tom Brady decided to show up here.
You're hanging on to Charles Haley. All right.
Because when you're at East Carolina, you go for it every time. Or you don't coach at East Carolina, you don't come to East Carolina, you don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart. Write it.
Write it. That's a win. Patty C, where you going, buddy?
There are a couple of games that arguably could move the needle, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a little TMZ for the first time here.
I just realized I had Alabama on the sheet twice. I guess I forgot to delete the South Florida Alabama game there. Yeah, where are you going?
Look, we're going to go to Lexington, Kentucky, where the Georgia Bulldogs will host, where the Kentucky Wildcats will host the Georgia Bulldogs. One of
You got Calipari out of there. Now they're full on football school.
Full on football. Mark Stoops would probably have the crowd lit up. What is their record going to be coming into this? We know they host.
Are we talking Georgia's?
No, Kentucky hosts Southern Miss, hosts South Carolina. Third straight home game here. They're going to be lit. 2-0.
My problem is they've got their ass whooped in these matchups, though.
14 in a row.
They haven't won in Lexington since 2006.
At least the games in Lexington have been close.
Yeah, 16-6 in 2022, 14-3 in 20, 34-17 and 18, 27-24 and 16. But that was pre-Kirby Smart.
Those are all pretty respectable scores.
Fair.
Of course, they haven't scored a touchdown at home against Georgia in like 6 years. But
details. Look, maybe Clemson.
They haven't scored since Lorenzen, the hefty lefty.
God,
let's go.
That hurts. Maybe Clemson beats them up a little bit. I mean, I guess they have Tennessee Tech to get right in the meantime. But I just feel like there's not a ton of other games that Kentucky eventually is going to break through. They've been knocking on this door.
You're playing it at the right spot. I'm going to give you credit here.
Yeah, for sure. This game probably deserved maybe a notch or two above, but certainly right spot.
It's the right spot. I'm excited. I will watch this at least for the first half.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what to make of Kentucky. I always feel like I feel like they're one of these schools. Like you can't say Stoops has done a bad job because he's done a good job.
He's done a great job,
but he's also done a great job of schedule manipulation to me.
Yes.
Of like, and they play like an FCS and like 3 MAC schools. I feel like every year.
He's doing everything he needs.
Well, no,
to
now
do.
there's no East. There's no SEC East. So now we get to see a little bit more. Now you still have the 8 conference games.
Yeah,
but we get to see if they're actually playing the part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can't hide behind bullshit before.
Right.
So I think it's intriguing. Nick, anything else you want to add to it?
Not really. I mean, I do think that let's see how Georgia looks again. They're probably going to look awesome, but these games at Lexington have been competitive. So it's a spot where maybe you have a top 5 team in the country in a battle down the stretch.
Leary, is he still there?
No.
Who's
they brought him Georgia transfer Brock Vandergriff.
That's another good angle. That's a good point.
Carson,
please.
I've seen him
Carson
projected Beck as the number 1 pick.
Well,
in the
you
draft.
see Jaden Rashada just hit the portal, and Georgia's Jaden Rashada, who's that fucking guy's been everywhere. He was that way. He went to like 3 different high schools in his final 3 years of high school, and then he commits to Miami, but then Florida gives him $15 million, which he never got. And got Florida in trouble with their fake NIL collective. Then he couldn't find a home. He's from California originally.
I feel like Arizona State was in there.
Well, he goes to Arizona State. He played last year.
Yeah.
Played, but then hurt his hand moving, not on the field. And then he hits the portal, and Georgia's the team that apparently is the reason why he hit the portal.
Good reason.
What a dagger for Florida fans.
Yeah, he ends up at Georgia. Ouch.
Anyway, no, I think you played this correctly.
Thank you.
NC Nick, where you going?
Well, actually, it's kind of funny that you mentioned Jaden Rashada because weekday Nick is rearing its ugly head again. And here I have a Sun Belt team hosting a newly minted Big 12 squad, Texas State at home versus Arizona State. Look, last year Texas State beat Baylor in Baylor.
Oh yeah.
You know, I love to see the P4 added G5 here. This has potential upset written all over it, especially with the Rashada news.
100, and the first time they're playing, by the way, ever. Arizona State heading to San Marcos.
Southwest football. That's a disgrace that this is the first time they're ever playing.
I do enjoy. I don't know how much deserty San Marcos is, but one of the things I do enjoy, like of the new Big 12, is Arizona State, like Texas Tech. Like, you know, Arizona opens their season with New Mexico.
Yeah.
There's something I like about UTEP plays Southern Utah, which if you've been to Southern Utah is like deserty.
Yeah.
You know, so it's desert football needs to make a comeback. I don't know if I've never been to San Marcos.
San
but
Marcos
it's by San Antonio, right?
Is in between Austin and San Antonio.
So it's not deserty.
It's pretty close to desert. I would say San Antonio is desert. It's funny if you ever look at like the country, it's like split exactly in half in terms of
Austin is not
gets
deserty,
rain
though.
and doesn't get rain.
Maybe San Antonio is.
Yeah, it's right. It's right where that divide is.
Yeah, I like it. I love this on Thursday night. I do think San Marcos is going to be fucking rocking. The amount of Lone Star beers that will be fucking bonged in the parking lot.
A lot of Shiner box going down.
Dude, Texas State is live. They are fucking live. They bring in your boy from JMU, the quarterback.
McLeod. Jordan McLeod.
Yeah, Jordan McLeod. I almost said Timmy McLean. Yeah, Jordan McLeod.
AC or what was it? Sunbelt Player of the Year.
Yeah. So Kenny Dillingham. Why would you go on the road to San Marcos? I'm not going to knock it because it's fantastic for the sport, but I do favor Texas State to win this game.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I need to see more from Arizona State to favor them on the road here.
Yeah. Good play. First ever matchup too. So. All right, goes back to old Dundee, and look, while you're playing all these new look, I give love to new matchups. Right? Texas State, Arizona State never played each other. But fuck out of here. Let's go to a rivalry that matters. They've been playing this game over 100 fucking years. All right.
Maryland UVA.
That's on the list. That's happening, by the way. Don't shit on that too hard.
This is much more interesting.
Maybe a little further down.
Because let me tell you something. Someone asked me this question on the FCS show last night. And I want to ask you guys this. I'm going to go sidetrack right now for a second, but it was a good question. They said with USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington now having to play on the Big Ten schedule, meaning there's so many games on the East Coast or Central Time Zone, is that a huge advantage for the Mountain West, the Big 12, and potentially FCS, right?
Certainly for after dark games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For nationally televised college football, someone is going to have to steal all that time. I don't think there's enough schools in the Big 12 in the Pacific Time Zone.
You figure those 6 teams are 3 of them will be in the Eastern or Central Time Zone.
All the Mountain West is in that. So when I see BYU heading to Laramie in an old school rivalry, like I said, look at who BYU's played the most. Besides Utah, it is Wyoming. They played every year for a long fucking time. Now BYU,
that's a good game,
has won like the last 9, but Laramie is different than the last time they saw Laramie. I think this is a great game. BYU has a 16-game lead, but I think Wyoming's live, guys. Nick, your thoughts on this one?
I do like it. I got one thought on the comment about the TV windows and stuff. I do think, and I don't know this for sure, but this is the first time I thought about it. I bet you the Big Ten never has all their West Coast teams playing during the day away on the same Saturday. I bet you that part of the reason why it was attractive for the Big Ten to grab those teams and for the ACC to grab the California teams was so they would have the late night window. So I guarantee you that they keep a couple games every week.
Though. Before, like, you used to have 3 or 4 Pac-12 games going on in the late night windows. That's what I'm saying is like now, they're
going to be strategic about it.
But
they're definitely going to be strategic.
Yeah, but hold on. Be strategic all you want. Okay, when Michigan plays USC at USC, they ain't playing that shit at night. They're going to play it in the day, right? And to get the Michigan fans in, right?
USC,
because it'll be too late for the Michigan fans if they play that shit.
Oh yeah.
So they're going to give you Northwestern UCLA at night. I'm sorry, BYU, Wyoming is going to be better than Rutgers, USC, or Northwestern UCLA. And people are going to want to watch that game.
You're right. There's only so much, working it to work in their favor.
I'll say that yes, the BYU Wyoming will be better, but the other game will still get better ratings.
True, but I actually think most people I think even like your TMZ college football fans don't get excited about Rutgers, Northwestern, Minnesota.
I hope not. Who does?
That's what I'm saying. I think they might be more intrigued. I think it'd be much closer than it was before. Like before, when you have them taking on if it's Washington taking on UCLA or something, or Washington State UCLA.
I can't wait to see a UCLA stadium.
Yeah. Oh my god.
With Northwestern in town, it's going to be a complete humiliation.
It's like when Bowling Green played them.
Yeah.
What do you make of this?
I do like the matchup a lot, but I thought you were going to go with another Big 12 team at a Mountain West team. I thought that one might have a tad more appeal, but maybe that's because I wasn't
this is the
aware.
Rivalry, though. This is the
I wasn't
history.
aware of the history of this one. So
and look, even
with
BYU's 9-game win streak, which is crazy because, like I said, they only have a 16-game lead. So before this 9-game win streak, it was only a 7-game lead. They're all been. 2008 and 9 were disasters. Wyoming was horrible, but the past 3 have been fairly close. They played in a bowl game in 2016. BYU won by 3. Ever since Craig Bowl came and built this program up, I think Wyoming's in great shape to win this game. Actually, I honestly think they're the better football team right now.
I like it,
especially if you put it in Laramie. I would favor Wyoming. Give me Wyoming minus 2.5.
BYU's coach, I'm drawing a blank on it.
Kalani Sitake.
Yeah. Does this put him on the hot seat if they have another tough season here? I feel like he's earned enough goodwill, but the expectations of BYU pretty high.
Yeah.
What were they, 5 and 7 last year?
Yeah.
Got to do better than that.
All right. Patty C, it jumps to you, buddy. Where you going?
There are a lot of good games left on this schedule. Now that I'm looking at it a little more closely again, but I'm gonna stick with the theme. take all the criticism you guys are going to give me. We are going to go with, where is that Iowa game? Papa, I can't even find it.
Troy at Iowa.
Troy at Iowa, 11-3 versus 10-4 last year. Two good teams. Yes. Is John Summerall gone?
Yes.
Sure.
Gerard Parker comes in, mystery hire.
But you know who else is gone? Brian Ferentz. So I think Iowa might be in trouble here.
And
Isn't that addition by subtraction?
Deacon Hill.
Wait, what happened with
Deacon Hill? Hit the portal 2 days ago. It broke my heart. Like he only fits. What's the best school that could grab him now? I was thinking Kentucky because they had the hefty lefty. I'm like, besides that,
he's a great.
So
fit.
look, he played at Wisconsin.
Oh, like a fun school to grab.
No, like where else does he fit as a gigantic fat ass quarterback? Like he was at Wisconsin, which made sense.
Yeah.
He goes to Iowa.
That makes sense.
All right. The only other one is Kentucky based on their history. What else makes sense? Like
I think it's got to be somewhere Midwest. He seems like
it
a
could be the
Midwest
MAC.
corn-fed Mac. Definitely.
Miami, Ohio had Roethlisberger. Maybe
Northern
he goes to
Illinois.
Wait.
He's fat like his coach.
That's true. Northern Illinois.
Where did the hefty lefty play arena ball? The swamp.
I know what you're talking about. I don't
Swamp
remember
snakes
though.
or
Yeah,
something.
Yeah.
I feel like Southern Miss maybe would be a good fit for.
I could see that. I could see Southern Miss.
Doing Waffle House commercials.
Anyway, Troy against heads to Iowa. I do think Troy has the. What sucks is if Summerall was just to leave next year, because I think Troy has the muscle to fuck with Iowa, but I don't know about now. What is Gerard Parker's MO? I thought it was a weird hire, right?
Parker was the Notre Dame
OC
tight end coach.
But OC for 1 year last year.
Yeah,
and
they went 10-3, so I guess admirable performance there as the OC, but a weird hire. I agree.
Well, I'm saying because Troy has the MO to me to really fuck. Like they play physical, run first football, and that's what Iowa is. So it's like I actually think they could bang with them. And you've seen Troy have wins over like LSU, Oklahoma State. They went into Oklahoma State 1 year and got them.
I mean, Troy's defense was completely nasty the last couple of years. So it's like if we thought last week the Iowa State-Iowa game was low scoring, I mean, this game might have just been straight up field goals if Summerall stayed. That's the only if.
Yeah, I mean, but I feel like a program like Troy isn't just going to fall off the map.
I would love to see them. And look, they've been in a way, to your credit, Petty C. Like some of those wins were not. Some of them were with Neil Brown, and they went into Baton Rouge and won.
Yeah,
it was with Neil Brown. So they've done this with a few different coaches. They beat Missouri 1 year. They pre Neil Brown at Missouri. NC Nick, the Sun Belt can get one here against the evil enterprise.
Iowa hasn't scored in their last 2 games.
Notice the Big Ten. Yeah,
they've been shut out.
But they get McNamara back.
Yeah, that's big, but not that big.
So that's good for one more field goal.
I guess here's my question:
9-3 final.
Does Iowa, who won 10 games last year, have any chance to be a playoff contender this year?
Yes, they always do with that defense.
Yeah.
And this year they don't have to win the Big 12 champion, the Big 10 championship to get
in. That's true. All they got to do is just play their game.
If they go 10-2, and look, who's let me run down their schedule real quick in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And you tell me which of these games are definite losses. Home against Iowa State, home against Troy, at Minnesota, at Ohio State.
Loss.
There's one. Okay. Home against Washington.
That's a win.
That's a win probably. At Michigan State, potential, but I favor Iowa.
Yeah.
Northwestern at home, Wisconsin at home, at UCLA.
That's gonna be the one
They could lose,
yeah,
but even then that's 2.
They're just they're not used to that style of ball.
Right. Yeah.
You're gonna go to the Rose Bowl.
Then at Maryland and hosting Nebraska, they could easily go 10-2 next year and be in the playoffs.
I want to win a national championship.
And Troy could be a playoff team.
Well, no, I don't want the Big Ten to succeed because I hate them. But if there was one team in the Big Ten I want to succeed,
I'll let
it's
Iowa.
Yeah. Nick, your thoughts on Troy, Iowa?
I think it's a pretty decent game. It's at this point you can play pretty much anything. I hope Troy can hang around, and I mean the brand of football that Iowa plays lends itself to a lot of teams hanging around. So it's possible. That's all I gotta say. It's possible.
You're on the clock, buddy. What are you doing?
All right, since we're pushing 2 hours, we probably got to go a little bit faster on the second half of this. Game I thought you were going to play, Utah at Utah State. There's lots of in-state showdowns.
Battle of the Brothers rivalry. This goes back to 1892. It's a big time rivalry too.
And Logan will be lit. Can Utah State hang with Utah? That remains to be seen. We'll see. I do expect Utah and Cam Rising coming back. They're going to be really good. But on the road, Utah's not quite the same team. So this is a fun game.
The problem is Utah State gets fucking annihilated in the portal every year.
Yeah.
I feel like it's happening again, but they haven't been to Logan since 2012. They haven't played this since 2015, which is pathetic.
This is also a little bit of a sandwich spot for Utah. They have a Baylor game before and at Oklahoma State next.
Well, last time they went to Logan, they lost in overtime, 27-20. I do love this game. This game should happen every fucking
Wasn't
year.
it played every year?
Yeah, to all the way up until what? Like they're starting in 19. Now this goes back to 1892. They didn't play for 8 years. Utah State actually won the first matchup. They played it every year since 1900 until 2015, and then
just dropped
gone.
It. Terrible.
This is one, the Beehive Boot. Battle for the Beehive Boot.
Nice.
Love this game on the schedule, and I was gonna play this if you didn't play this yet next. So Patty, see your thoughts?
To it.
Yeah.
Utah as I guess the Big 12 favorite. Are we thinking out the gates?
Odds are the odds on favorite right now.
This would be a black guy. And it is very possible.
The Mountain West has opportunities because you have BYU from the Big 12 playing at Wyoming, Colorado from the Big 12 playing at Colorado State, and then you have this
Mountain West just on the strength.
You have
gonna pull themselves up by the bootstraps.
Opportunity, you do. Yeah, love this game played here, folks. I want to tell you that you're listening to the College Football Experience on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and right now, look, we're 24 hours away from the NFL Draft, less than 24 hours away. The NFL Draft is here, and Sports Gambling Podcast has you covered all week with the NFL Draft props, mock drafts, and their NFL Draft watch party, which I'll be a part of. I've been fucking spending 25 hours the past 3 days looking at clips, dialing up stuff. All right. So get on over. If you haven't checked out an SGPN or a Sports Gambling Podcast NFL Draft Live watch, it's about the best thing you can watch out there on planet Earth. All right. It's that at Police Academy 5 in Miami. But Thursday night, tune in, Sports Gambling Podcast YouTube page, hang out with the guys for the best NFL Draft watch party there is out there. Plus, make sure you download the SGPN app for your free shot at winning a $100 SGPN gift card with the NFL Draft Bingo card. Get on over there. All right, we are back on the College Football Experience, Week 3 preview and picks and draft episode. It bounces back to Dundee. Look, let me tell you something about this. Let me tell you something about the disrespect that's out there right now. All right. I touched on this before. All right. The Mountain West has big opportunities. They have big fucking opportunities against the Big 12. And I like this new rivalry. This whole week is full of these. Air Force is heading to Waco, Texas. I'm sorry. Right? Where,
surprised that joke hasn't been made more often.
Dave Aranda, he's 0-1 against Air Force. Oh yeah, 2022. They got their ass whooped by Troy Calhoun and Air Force, 30-15. All right. Prior to that, Air Force had lost their other 3 matchups against Baylor, but those all happened in the 60s and 70s. Troy Calhoun's got this program rolling. I'm going to make the argument here that Air Force should be favored in Waco based on last season's Baylor squad. I know Spavital comes in from Cal, but Air Force at Baylor, I like anytime you can get Troy Calhoun against a Power 5. Yeah. He's proven that shit. Remember he went to Air Force, or when they went at Oklahoma, but they went for 2 and lost.
Yeah,
they almost got the fucking Sooners.
Wait, that was Army?
No. But before that, Air Force did.
Did it too? Okay.
Army didn't go for 2. Army just lost late.
Okay.
Air Force tied the game and went for fucking 2, and didn't get the 2.
Gotcha.
But that's Troy Calhoun. Air Force at Baylor. NC Nick, your thoughts?
And yeah, I mean, for sure. And also another big time sandwich spot. They have at Utah before, and they have at Colorado after. I mean,
they're losing this game, dude.
They very well could. So there's that's your reason to watch, because I think it's going to be a close game, and Air Force could definitely come out of there with the dub.
No one wants to schedule Air Force. You know why? Because they have a knack. I'm looking at this right now.
Because nobody wants to prepare for that shit.
Well, we saw what they did to JMU in the bowl game. They beat their ass, right?
Catching strays.
And then
with the 3 coaches of our 12 still on staff.
Still, the Air Force didn't recruit these
Little
players.
detail.
Look, go back to the Baylor game. Go back in 2022. They beat Colorado and Baylor, both the Power Fives. Oh, go back to 2021. Who'd they beat? They beat the likes of Louisville from the mighty ACC. Go back to 2020. Well, I think that was a COVID year, and they didn't play any Power Fives. So you have to go to 19. But 19, what they do? They beat Colorado, Power Five. They swept Colorado. Actually, they went 11-2, and guess what? They beat Washington State in the bowl game there. Let me tell you something. When they put a Power Five on the schedule, they mark that shit. They're gonna win that fucking game. They're going down to Wacko, and they're gonna pull a Koresh. All right.
They are 2 good teams. In the last 12 seasons, they have combined for 11 10-win seasons between them. So one of the 2 of them on average is going to be a 10-win team. I'm sure several times in that stretch, especially recently when both have been pretty good. I mean, obviously Baylor's had a couple down years, but before that they were pretty elite for a while. And then Air Force has been nasty for like 3 of the last 4 years. I feel like they have 10 wins.
Yeah.
So let me look at that. Baylor since 2019, 11, and let's take out COVID, 11, 10, 10, 9. That's a fucking beast of a team, Air Force. Baylor's going to have their hands full. Do you even think Baylor will be favored?
I think they will be just because it's Big 12 and they're at home. But that's what I'm saying. The Big 12, you want to talk about an opportunity to make a fucking statement? I just touched on what Colorado State against Colorado, Utah State against Utah, BYU and Wyoming. There's 2 other games, 3 other games here that's happening. Air Force, Baylor, and there's another one out there on the schedule that we'll see. I think will be drafted soon.
You said what was it, Larry or not? Who was the quarterback that got hurt for Air Force? Was it Larry? Or?
No, yeah, it was Larry.
Yeah,
right. It was Larry.
He's not.
Yeah,
he's not back, but he was when he got hurt.
Because that's the thing, they don't get the red.
They started out like 8-0, right, and then they lost or something very very good, and they lost like their last 3 or 4 games of the regular season.
Calhoun will have that team ready. They're quarterback proof in a way.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole
advantage
of the triple option. It does not rely on throwing the ball.
And by the way, so I think Larry did graduate, even with that. But I think they'll be in contention.
A whole off season to get a quarterback ready to play triple option.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, with the service academies, don't worry about the names.
Yeah. Baylor, again, if they bounce back, Baylor's been known to have up and down seasons, one after the other. So a 3-9 might be followed by a 10-win season for Baylor. So this game could have huge implications.
And for your playoff race.
Yeah.
I mean, Air Force has been ranked the past couple of years, you know?
Yeah. Air Force is definitely in the top 10 of group of 5 teams.
Yeah. All right. Patty C, it jumps over to you, buddy.
Bomb. Oh.
There's a couple ACC, SEC matchups out there. There's a Big 10 ACC matchup.
There's a MAC SEC matchup that I have my eye on.
Oh, I like that one.
Couple in-state battles.
There are some in-state battles.
There's
that
an
I like.
ACC Sun Belt matchup.
I am going to go with. This might be too high. It might be too high, but I like it. I like the play here. You guys are gonna again give me trouble because one of the coaches left and they haven't had a ton of success without him. This is New Mexico State, 10-5 last year, traveling to Fresno, 9-4. 2 very good teams last year. I know.
I was just arguing that.
All expect
Patty C's formula of wins from last year still.
I mean, what New Mexico State turned it around. I know we expect a major step back, but if we're trying to think about games we're excited for in week 3 of this year, we should still be excited about New Mexico State unless they've gotten the tar whooped out of them in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Well, since Fresno has a 19-1 all-time lead, but that one was the bowl game last year.
Oh, they played in the bowl last year.
Yes, but Tedford didn't coach though because he had the heart condition.
Well, there you go. There's another little storyline to get excited about.
There's your fucking hope. But Jerry Kill's also gone.
Yeah, little detail.
Look, I said this. Someone was making the case that UTEP should be in the Mountain West on Twitter today, and I agree they should because the Sun Bowl it just fits Mountain West to me. The Sun Bowl should be where the Mountain West Championship should be every year.
like it. Yeah.
But if you're going to add in UTEP, you got to add in New Mexico State because they just fit. Las Cruces, that's part of your desert.
Yeah.
You know, they have the mountain terrain. Get the mountain desert. Like I said, the Sun Bowl's in the mountains. It's fucking in the mountains.
Yeah.
So imagine playing the Mountain West Championship in the fucking mountains of the greatest stadium maybe in America. Nick,
of course, I feel like a lot of the stadiums in the Mountain West are in the mountains.
but they play at that fucking bullshit in Vegas.
Yeah, it's true. It's a disgrace.
No, but it's literally in the mountains. The Sun Bowl, like,
It's tucked into the mountains.
no, I'm saying like you can sit on the mountains and watch the fucking game.
That's true.
You
It's
can't
pretty
do that
awesome.
in Fort Collins. You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
true.
or at least you wouldn't be able to watch it. You'd be so far back. You'd be like, what? I'm talking like fans do that at the Sun Bowl.
Yeah.
NC Nick, your thoughts on New Mexico State at Fresno State?
Yeah, the bowl game was 37-10 in Fresno's favor. I expect kind of a similar outcome
Wait,
here.
Fresno beat them? Why did I think New Mexico State beat them?
No, Fresno won.
Oh shit! So when the hell did New Mexico State win that in that matchup? Let me look.
Yeah,
Anyway, carry on.
Mikey Keene threw for 380. So I
Okay.
expect kind of a similar outcome, and this one did not. This one did not make my list.
Yeah, maybe loses a little bit of his luster, but
Well, if it's a future big, that's your angle. That's what you sell. Is a future matchup. Oh, it's 2011 in Las Cruces. New Mexico State won 48-45. Yeah, they've actually got their ass whooped by Fresno in most of these.
I expect that to happen again. But I feel like as excited as we were about New Mexico State last year, to just act like it's all over and we don't care about them now, I don't agree. I still am interested to see what they do this year.
I'm just gonna say, this is hilarious. What they've played 20 times, 14 of them have been by 3 scores or more. So there is that. But no, I still like it. I like it. All right, NC Nick, you're on the clock.
In-state battle, another one. Virginia Tech at ODU. The Hokies have played in Norfolk twice and have lost twice. And I think it's a fun game. I mean, come on.
Fun.
A lot
It
of
is
people are
fun.
watching the Hokies this year. They're expecting big things. ODU should be pretty damn good. And they have history here.
Don't you love how a team that was in the FCS, or actually, didn't they just bring back their entire program? Weren't they gone? They were gone. And then they came up and started, I think, a couple years in the FCS and then jump. And here they are against a team that played for the national championship in the past 25 years. It's 3-2. This is like a dead even series.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
This game's awesome. And I do think this is a fucking incredibly dangerous game for Brent Pry. Like, I know I called for Vanderbilt to pull the upset week 1 because I think Jerry Kill and Diego Pissing Pavia will have Vanderbilt a little bit better than people think. But this is the real one where, like, hey, man, they're 0-2 here. They're 0-2 at this fucking stadium.
SB Ballard.
Why should the Hokies be favored when they go there?
Will the elevators be working this time?
that's the point of the home field. That's why I don't do a neutral site game.
Here's the thing. Virginia Tech, if they are a much better team, I say this every year, but this schedule for the last couple years,
no, this year it really is
has been dog shit. They are probably, to me, the favorite in 11 out of the 12 games on their schedule. I don't know if that's accurate.
I don't think so. They won't be favored in Miami.
At the road trip against Miami on
They
Friday.
won't be favored against Clemson.
Well, yeah, it's the one that I have.
There's a third one there. I think that they won't.
At
be
Duke,
favored.
maybe. Rutgers at home.
Yeah, Rutgers beat their ass. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you're right.
Either way, it's a cakewalk of a schedule, and they should be motivated to go down there and get this done. But yeah, ODU has given them trouble. I think they may be a little fool's gold, Virginia Tech, this year. So this could be upset central. I was thinking about playing this one.
Yeah. Shout out to Robert checking in from Winnipeg. Shout out to James also. Yeah. I mean, I like this. It's well played. It's well played. So. All right, it goes to old Dundee. And actually, this isn't even in Lawrence. Actually, no, that hurts it. This is at Arrowhead. That kind of hurts it. Change of plans.
Did that change recently? Because of
They're renovating it.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Change of plans. We are going to the Battle of the Bell. How did Patty C not play this? You know why he didn't? NC Nick?
Why's that?
Because he's scared. Because this series is tied up 60-60.
I love it.
All right. Cincinnati heads to Miami, Ohio. It's going to be a tough week. It's going to be a tough week for the Big 12. They've been playing this fucking game since 1888. That's the longest of any of the rivalries we've mentioned today.
That's Ohio football right there.
This goes back a ways. And what happened last year? Satterfield? Nippert? Oh, Miami, Ohio 31, Cincinnati 24.
Ooh, Nippert. Ooh.
They
And
choked
now
that
you gotta
one
come
away.
in.
They
to
choked
Oxford?
that one away bad.
Oxford's a party school.
Brett Gabbert's back for his 75th year. You ain't getting that dub. All right. NC Nick, your thoughts?
I love it. I love it. This is another one of the P4s at a G5 where you can certainly pencil this in as upset potential.
Man, what a black eye this would be for Scott Satterfield.
Dude, they're losing this fucking.
You know
game.
how bad the fan base turned on him. I mean, I was one of them, and so maybe I'm like misplacing how bad the rest of the fan. But it seemed like every Cincinnati fan hated Scott Satterfield last year. If he loses this one, and there's a decent chance they do,
because Miami Ohio bringing back a 7th-year starting quarterback,
11-3,
that gives you a fucking huge advantage. This place is going to burn down.
Or were they conference champs last year?
No, they won the championship.
They won the conference champs last year. Woo! A favorite? Give me Miami,
They're
Ohio.
They're going to lose this fucking game, dude.
Yeah, Cincinnati will. I believe. I think you're right. Yeah, this is a great game. This is a great game. Imagine Miami, Ohio recapturing after what 15 straight or 16 straight by Cincinnati. Miami gets 2 in a row. Satterfield, you better win this one.
And by the way, I still see that Indiana at UCLA is out there. This is what I mean, Nick. This is exactly my point. So
Right.
you're looking at a late night slate. Now maybe they put the Apple Cup, or I don't think so though. Oregon State, that's only at like 3:30. But
Yeah, we don't have times yet, but you're probably right.
I would assume BYU, Wyoming, Utah State would be on at the same time. Maybe even San Diego State, Cal, as Indiana and UCLA. I think that's the least attractive out of all 4 of those games.
It's a boring ass game.
Yeah. Anyway, let's jump on over. Patty C.
Look, this game has personal interest for me, so I'm going to put it here. It's maybe overplayed, maybe not. Maryland was 8-5 last year. Virginia was 3-9, but I'll give Tony Elliott credit. He is going out and getting talent. They had some dudes that on the edges last year could move the ball. Obviously, offensive line has been a big problem for Virginia for a long time, so that still needs to be addressed. But I think he's going to go out and get talent. He got Chris Tyree from Notre Dame to come home. And then apparently both Calandria didn't play as well in the spring game, but Tony Muskett looked pretty darn good. I expect Calandria to round into form in the summer. I think they're in position that, they could step forward. Maryland, again, has been improving under Mike Locksley for years.
Beat him by 28, scored 42 unanswered.
Yeah, that hurt, but that was a lot of that in the fourth quarter. UVA was like knocking on the goal line to take the lead in the third quarter, and then, interception ruined that. But
about 3 interceptions ruined it.
Yeah. A lot of turnovers in a row.
Well, I'll tell you what I like about this play. All right, look, Maryland, Virginia. I watched this game all too much as a kid, and I did think it was boring. But the fact that it's been away and it comes back, and I like it here. I do think the game should be played.
They used to play each other on the last game of the season. They were arch rivals for a long time.
Yes.
Power 5 arch rivalry.
Yes. And I like that. That's why what I like about this week is what I was alluding to was what I love about it is this week. I think you could argue might even have the better. I mean, I know you have Ohio State, Michigan, and Auburn, Alabama the final week, and this year we are going to get Texas A&M back, which is huge to me. But when you look at some of these awesome rivalries,
well, it figures if you're playing an 8 or 9 game conference slate, you're going to have non-conference rivalry week. Around week 3 or 4. They've
done a great job doing it, because this week, whether I just mentioned Cincinnati, Miami, Ohio, or Utah State, or this matchup here, even though it's ACC Big Ten, I still consider Maryland an ACC school.
Yeah.
NC Nick, your thoughts?
I mean, it's a decent game. Now, the reason why we remember last year's game is because it was a weekday. It was a Thursday night game, I believe.
True.
Friday, I think.
Yeah.
It was a Friday. Okay. So, I mean, that's really where it needs to be played if you're going to get my attention with this. Other than that, like Colby said, it's kind of boring.
Well, I'm a Virginia fan, and I disagree. I think UVA is a team that's going to improve. So fuck you guys.
I said I was giving you credit for it. I said it deserves to
like
be
saying
played because
fuck you.
I like the
It does
rivalry
deserve to
aspect.
be played, but we're in the 20s here, so some of these games still have boring written all over them, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
NC Nick, you're on the clock. Couple SEC, ACC matchups. You're an ACC guy. I'm wondering if you're going to play them.
I'm going to go back to a quasi ACC team, another in-state battle that goes down to that goes back to 1896. Battle of the Hoosier State.
Good game.
Notre Dame, Purdue.
That
is that Purdue?
Yeah. Hey, Ryan Walters, this is you gotta get this thing going.
Might not be competitive. Maybe you turn it off after a little bit, but if it is competitive, then it becomes fun.
I'm gonna go ahead and say this though. Maryland, Virginia is better in this game.
Well, competitive wise, I would think so. Well, even though last year it probably wasn't.
I still think it's supposed to be played, but
what if it's like a 3-point game in the third quarter? Both games are 3-point games in the third quarter. Which one you watching?
That's true.
Purdue was in the Big Ten championship game 2 years ago. Yes. A little transition year, and they took a step back, but maybe they're back up. The game's in Purdue.
Look, you can't be good at basketball and football
Purdue.
at the same time. They just went to the national championship in basketball.
You can be good.
Did you see
both.
Maryland? Did you see Michigan basketball this year? They were dead last. You cannot be good at both.
Apparently.
Give me an example. It's all
Florida.
bullshit.
Yeah, Florida was winning.
That was the one, but they fucking had. You have to have murders happening if that's gonna hit.
Purdue is Notre Dame's third most played rivalry of all time, behind only Navy.
You got
and
it. It
USC.
deserves to be in the top 30. It deserves to be in the top 30.
Yeah.
It does make me think of my childhood naps.
Classic.
that I had.
Classic
I like a good
football.
nap on a Saturday, at 3:30 something.
Dude, I can remember watching Mike Allstott go up against Notre Dame, and I was so excited about Allstott because he had some big time plays. They got their ass whooped, but I was excited for the possibility of the upset.
Yeah,
I feel like Notre Dame's just going to do that again, but
Probably
we'll see.
right.
Yeah.
You might be right.
All right, jumps back to me, and I will head over to. No, you guys aren't going to sprinkle this bullshit on me here. There's good games out there that need to be played. All right, and I'm taking you to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Mike Gundy has problems in September. All right, he just does. He does. And if you look at what has happened the past couple times he's played Tulsa, right? This is a rivalry game. They've been playing this for over 100 years too. All right.
Hey, does Spurrier wear the visor too? Is this a visor bowl?
Yes.
Yes.
Look, I know Oklahoma State hasn't. They've won like 10 in a row against Tulsa, but damn, have these been bullshit? That bullshit holding penalty in the COVID year. The last 2 times they've played in Stillwater, Oklahoma State won by 5 and by 9. Right? They have been close games, and now you got to go to H.A. Chapman Stadium. No. I think Kevin Wilson has got this going. Scott Spurrier's on the staff.
I think Kevin Wilson may wear a visor every now and then too.
Scott Spurrier's on the staff.
Yeah.
And I think, especially after you just play Arkansas week 2, letdown spot, you're going to H.A. Chapman. Tulsa's live, folks. Tulsa is live. Nick, your thoughts?
Well, the great thing about this week, and I think leading up to this week, once we get to in September, is we got to take. I think I counted 6 Big 12 schools playing at G5 opponents. So we got to put an over under on like how many home G5 opponents win, because there's going to be a couple, and certainly this has a chance to be one of them. Or Oklahoma State could win by 40.
Yeah,
I actually think I thought Kevin Wilson did a good job year 1, all things considering, and I think they're going to be even better this year.
Well, I think he's a good coach. I think he's. Would you say he's even comparable to Gundy? I guess you can't really say that.
Gundy's got the advantage, but I think he's a good coach. Yeah.
Real quick, because I know we're but
yeah,
okay,
we're slagging.
Cincinnati, Miami of Ohio, BYU, Wyoming,
Colorado
Utah State, Colorado State, Arizona State, Texas State, and this game. That's 6 of them. How many Big 12 teams lose these road games?
I mean, and you could even throw in Rice, Houston, because they're both in Houston. I know that doesn't really count. It's a Houston home game, but it's like Rice beat him last year.
I think I say two G5 opponents win.
Yeah, I think 3.
Yeah.
Black eye for the Big 12.
Because Cincinnati's losing at Miami, Ohio.
Could.
I think Wyoming gets BYU.
You give them credit for scheduling them, but much like the Pac-12 ACC and the Pac-12 would do this all the time, and sure enough, just like Virginia Tech had ODU,
you
sure enough they start dropping them.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true.
The Big Ten and the SEC, they do not do this unless it's Vanderbilt playing at UNLV or something.
Yeah, and they lost. You didn't have this in your top 30, Nick, did you?
Which one was this again?
Oklahoma State at Tulsa?
No, I did.
Okay. All right. Patty C, it jumps to you. Where you going?
Looking around, it's gotten a little thin officially at this point. Would you say?
No, I still see a couple things I like out there.
What number are we at?
We are at 26 now. I'm going to take just a kind of obvious play here. We're going San Diego State going to Cal.
Yep. I love it. I almost played that right now.
I thought with Colby thinks San Diego State's gonna be a top 10 team this year. I'm surprised he didn't play it.
Top 10 in the Mountain West. But no, this is this game. I think is
Sean Lewis against Wilcox.
Yeah,
it's fast paced versus slow paced. Who wins the pace battle in this game?
Well, and you look at like San Diego State won the last matchup 45-40 in 2016. So Aztecs, they got the win streak right
great
now.
Basketball program. Was in the national championship 2 years ago. Maybe they get an ACC invite.
You see what I mean? They made the national championship 2 years ago. Last year they were ass.
That's true.
So you can't.
You can't do both at the same time.
Yeah, I think this game needs to be played. I think you can argue it's better than some of the other ones we played. So
let me push back on you.
What's that?
JMU. We were fucking great in football and basketball this year.
Didn't make the national championship at either.
National championship.
Yeah, worthy of a play. NC Nick, where you going?
I'm going to put a home SEC team on upset notice playing a MAC squad, and that is the Toledo Rockets at Mississippi State.
Please.
Come on, Rockets. Let's go. Go into Stark Vegas, get that dub.
That would be amazing. Jeff Levy and that bullshit slide offense. Take our quarterback, run 6-yard slide. Okay, you're gonna get the 15-yard penalty every time.
Yeah, the reliance on the penalty is what makes that annoying. The late slide.
I hate it. I've not. Look, never before. I mean, going from Leach 2 years ago, where I got my Hail State stuff to Levy. You know
what it is? It's like the pass interference has been used to they know they're gonna get the call, so they exploit it. Now Jeff Levy is exploiting the late slide.
He really is. He really is. Yeah, Toledo at Mississippi State. Pat, I see your thoughts.
Oh, great game. I was thinking about playing this myself. Obviously, I think major upset potential. That would be a huge MAC. How many times has the MAC beaten the SEC? I feel like that's.
I think Northern Illinois got Vandy.
Vandy again. Vandy excluded. I feel like it's probably a
Northern
rarity.
Illinois got Bama in the early 2000s.
Toledo won at Arkansas in 2015.
That's true. Matt Campbell.
Maybe it happens more often.
You're not giving them back any respect. Shit, Kentucky every time before Stoops. Now they play him so much though. It's a conference game.
Right, yeah.
But no, I think it's worthy of that. All right, folks, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. The NBA playoffs are here, and our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and much, much more. So make an entry. And when you do, you can go either all basketball players if you wanted to, or you can mix and match, which I think is part of the selling point here. You can go MLB, load up a player from MLB, load up a player from the NHL playoffs and the NBA playoffs, mix that with a UFL quarterback, Quentin Dormandy or something, and boom. Not a lot of places give you that option. You can win up to 100 times the amount of money you enter. It's a ton of fun. Underdog's available in 30 different states, including California and Texas, as well as the fine country of Canada. Shout out to Robert Martin. Checking in from Winnipeg. So what are you doing, folks? Check on over there. Hop on over there. Make sure you sign up. And when you sign up at Underdog Fantasy, use that promo code TCESGPN. Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's right, folks. Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. All right, we are back, and it is my final pick. As much as I love UMass and Buffalo being on the schedule, as much as I love, there's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, there's still Power 5 games that I'm passing on.
There's one Power 5 game that could be interesting just based on
there's
last year.
2 Power 5 games out there that,
I feel like there's a real obvious one that you're gonna pick here.
No, I'm not.
You're not gonna pick it. I'll pick it if you don't.
Now I want this to go. This is where hipster Colby's checking in. All right, 100 miles of hate. Middle Tennessee at Western Kentucky.
Oh,
put this shit on. Put this shit on Friday night. Yeah. Put this on Thursday night. I know we still have time. They're going to add some more to the weekday slate. This game is awesome. It is a rivalry game that actually matters. They truly have animosity towards each other. It's called 100 Miles of Hate, which is probably, in my opinion, the best name for a rivalry. They've been playing for well over 100 fucking years. They just recently, Western Kentucky was about to join the MAC, but they said, wait, we're not going without Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee, you want to join the MAC? And they go, no. So they stayed in the Conference USA. All right. So that's how much this rivalry means to them. And Middle Tennessee, by the way, bringing in Derek Mason.
100 Miles of Hate at Johnny Red Floyd Stadium.
Oh God, it just sounds so good. It sounds great. And
it's
look,
a fucking war.
And when you add in Rick Stockstill was a great coach, but he hasn't won. He's gone. Derek Mason, he hasn't won 100 Miles of Hate since 2018. It's a big time opportunity. Western Kentucky's won 5 straight, and guess what? Now they lead the series by 2. They got Derek Mason. You got to get that crown back. Give me 100 Miles of Hate. This is college football at its finest.
Who do you got? Western Kentucky 8-5 last year. Middle Tennessee 4-8. Are they missing Stockstill?
I don't know. I'd still favor Western Kentucky for this year, but Mason might get him next.
Mason's going to get it rolling.
Yeah, let's go. NC Nick, your thoughts on this game?
I love the fact that you brought it up and play it in the top 30. Yes, but if this game is not on a weekday, I'm sorry, it's not on my TV. So please move it to a weekday, and I will definitely watch it because it is a cool game.
All right, Patty C, your final pick.
I'm actually a little torn, and I probably shouldn't be. I have to look back. If I recall correctly, Boston College, Missouri did play.
Boston College beat them.
Boston College beat Missouri
in Chestnut Hill. 2 years ago? A year ago?
Was it 2?
2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, I think on that alone, I
like it.
I'm gonna lean into that one.
Now you got to know, Brian. You've been calling for this for 10 years.
That's right.
Ever since they fired the last O'Brien.
Yeah, we finally got an Irishman back in Boston.
It was 21, so it was actually 3 years ago.
Okay.
7-5 seasons, 8-4 seasons are coming. Upsets, major upsets are happening, but that is what to expect.
It's like having Irish cops in New York City. It's like, you got to have it. That's the corruption. You need that.
That's right. It's the lifeblood.
That's how Boston College is at its finest.
That's
you
right.
need that dirty Irish cop, and you have that now at your head coach spot. Let's go.
Oh yeah, Bill O'Brien, a Massachusetts, if that's what you call him. By birth and by style.
ACC Nick, you happy with this play?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, I don't think Boston College is going to win this one. I think Missouri is a playoff caliber team.
This is going to be a double-digit spread.
It's not really like a look ahead or anything. So I find it hard to believe BC is going to be competitive, but you never know.
Missouri's bringing the wide receiver back.
Yeah, Luther
Burden. Okay, yeah, that alone makes this game probably a blowout. But look out! But this is the type of game that Boston College does. Maybe Bill O'Brien starts this thing right away. Upset City.
Yeah, Upset City going on, folks. And remember, we got the Sports Gambling Podcast coming up next, but we got 335 people watching here live. So hit that like, hit that subscribe, youtube.com/The College Experience. NC Nick, you have the final pick of the regular draft before we get to the Lou Holtz What the Fuck game of the week and the FCS.
I mean, it's kind of a light week for the ACC, so let's end it with 2 ACC teams playing. Patty just played one. I'll play the other. Another SEC versus ACC. Ole Miss at Wake Forest.
I thought you were going to go UConn Duke.
I thought about it, but I mean, I'll watch that game over this one. But this one has, I guess, a little bit more national implications, even though this says
talk about a culture clash.
Sure, yeah. For sure. Let me ask you this: who has a better chance of winning, Boston College or Wake Forest?
I think Boston College does.
I think maybe Wake.
But Wake's at home.
Dude,
yeah, Wake's at home at least.
Team.
But they lost everybody. They get rated in the portal.
They do get rated in the portal.
Ever since the portal, you notice that?
Yeah.
Ever since the portal really opened up, like
it's really hard for their
Wake
approach
has
to
not
work.
been as good.
I think Ole Miss is better. I think Missouri's better than Ole Miss, and I think Wake at home is probably a little bit better than Boston College on the road. So I mean, both SEC schools could blow both of them out. But I don't know. I think Wake at home maybe have a little bit of a chance. I don't know.
Well, if they bounce back, I mean, obviously losing Sam Hartman was crushing for them last year. They had terrible quarterback play, and obviously with the slow match. They weren't able to replenish the running backs really either.
They get rated, dude. They got rated again.
But maybe finally, like he's a little more prepared to be rated this time around. I think Dave Clawson's a great coach.
What'd you think of Ole Miss spring game just doing like tug of war? I thought it was genius because the Kiffin, I think they're doing this so that people don't get tape on their guys, so they don't get stolen in the portal. He had them not play football essentially.
Really?
I was thinking about this. If you're a Group of 5 school, why even have the spring game? Because if your guys play well, they're going to get stolen in the portal.
That's true. You got to like give them limited reps.
Well, it's kind of you kind of do it for your fans too, though. It's kind of like an event.
Hey fans, do you want our starting quarterback playing at Alabama next year?
True.
Lane Kiffin is the type of dude that is away. Give him all the shit you want about like him being maybe a not great dude. Who knows? Maybe he is a good dude.
No,
but
I don't think he's a bad guy.
He seems like a little bit slimy.
He was buddies with Mike Leach.
Yeah, I don't think he's a bad guy at all. I think
he seems a little slimy to me.
Really?
Yes. But he also seems cool to me. You know, I think you can be both.
And such is life.
Such is life. He's the duality of man. I think
this game.
This is the college experience.
No, I'm sorry, guys. UNLV Kansas is better than this fucking game.
That's what I would have played here.
UNLV Kansas was a bowl game that happened with a ton of offense. Yeah, you guys love offense. That's a better game. I will also argue that Rice and Houston's a better game. I will also argue that
Florida Atlantic FIU little rivalry.
I do think UConn Duke is more intriguing to me than those matchups. And yeah, FIU Florida Atlantic, these rivalry games. All right, let's get to our Lou Holtz what the fuck game of the week. Why is this game scheduled? Why is it on the scheduled? Why should cameras be there? Because they shouldn't be. This is our.
Well, I don't get. Brain man cold, but they're counting down 7-6-5.
The Lou Holtz, what the fuck game of the week? I mean, you really got to just go down and search. I mean, there's a couple ones. There's one that I know normally we do FCS. You know,
there's one that should jump out real prominently to you.
Well,
toward the top of the list here.
Really?
Yes.
Towards I got it.
Yeah.
What the fuck is Bethune-Cookman doing in Kalamazoo?
Not that.
No, I'm playing this one. This doesn't make any fucking sense.
No, it doesn't.
Look, Bethune-Cookman, they can't even clean their goddamn office for fucking Ed Reed, a Hall of Famer. All right, they gotta hire him. No one cleans the office. He walks into a mess. He quits. He's picking up trash for 2 days. No one brings him the fucking contract on time. Bethune-Cookman's in Florida. What the hell are you doing in Kalamazoo? All right, you know damn well they can't pay for the flight. They're taking a goddamn charter bus up to Kalamazoo. This is a horrible game. Yeah. Hey, Western Michigan, why don't you schedule, if you want an FCS, schedule Southern Illinois, schedule Northern Illinois, schedule Ferris State. All right, schedule somebody. The Dakotas are right there. St. Thomas is right there. This bullshit game out of here. Bethune-Cookman at Western Michigan. Patty, see your thoughts on this matchup.
Trash. I like the inclusion of HBCUs against FBS schools.
You know what I almost played? I almost played Indiana UCLA.
I mean,
that was almost my what the fuck game of the week.
I like it. I thought when you said St. Thomas, I thought you were talking about the Virgin Islands because that's about as far as Bethune-Cookman is.
Yeah, seriously.
Nick, your thoughts on this game?
Oh fuck, absolutely horrible. It makes no sense whatsoever.
All right. Terrible game for college football. What are we doing? Patty C, where are you going here?
Brain man cold, but they're
Wait, is it me or is it Nick right now?
It's you.
All right. Well, I got the one that stood out to me.
Are you going Indiana, UCLA?
No, I'm going Kent State at Tennessee. Come on.
Yeah, these fucking SEC teams load up on Kent State and Kent State only. They never put the team. I guess Toledo this year just playing Mississippi State, but it's never.
If Tennessee
Kent
is
State,
back,
they love to schedule Kent
you don't
State.
need to be playing a 1-11 MAC team and hosting them. Please, come on.
It is a horrible fucking game.
I wanted to play this one. You beat me to it, Patty C. Kent State's only win last year was against the fake Blue Devils of Central Connecticut State. and Tennessee,
even that,
come on.
that was a nail biter. That was a close game. Yeah, it's a horrible fucking game. Terrible. Classic SEC.
I don't get brain man cold, but they're counting down 7-6-5.
NC Nick, where are you going here?
Another home team in Michigan playing a Southern school, Prairie View A&M at Michigan State. Again, makes absolutely no sense.
And they canceled
whatsoever.
Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, for this.
Come on.
They were supposed to be
pussies.
playing a Sun Belt team.
That's
Hold on,
right.
what was this game again?
Prairie View at Michigan State.
Yeah.
They're horrible.
Scared of Louisiana? They're not even that good.
You fucking, of course they are. The new Big Ten and SEC are such pussies. They're such pussies trying to ruin college football. Hope Bubba McDowell goes up there and hands you an L. All right, let's go, Bubba. All right, let's. We got a little bit of time here. FCS play, top FCS play. Patty C. Look, I'm gonna play. I know you have a rematch of the Great Danes of Albany at Idaho, which was an FCS playoff game a year ago. That exact matchup. But I'm not going there. North Dakota State's going to Johnson City, Tennessee. East Tennessee State goes out and hires Lamb, the head coach of Gardner Webb. Bobby Lamb, I think it is. No. Trey Lamb, I believe. And he brings his whole team with him.
We were once coached by Bobby Lamb.
Yeah, we were coached by Bobby.
They put me at point guard, and then on defense, I had to.
Shout out to Bobby Lamb.
We actually ran the box and won.
No, that's
so
the
great.
matchup though. North Dakota State at East Tennessee State, because East Tennessee State's been very active in the portal. They brought in some players. They can tell their NIL collectives together. I think it's going to be a game. NC Nick, your thoughts on North Dakota State and Johnson City?
I like it. I like the fact that they're coming all the way across country.
There we go. Patty C.
ETSU 3-8 last year.
No, but that's what I'm saying. They go out and hire Lamb, who was doing a great job.
Yeah, you think they're going to turn it around,
dude? He brought in like 30 of his players.
Nice.
So
he was where again last year? Sorry,
Gardner Webb.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they've been a playoff team, right?
Yeah. Gardner Webb. They're going to beat JMU the week before.
Nope.
Patty C. What's your second best FCS game here?
I suppose I'll go with the obvious here, and
even though the Big Poff is gone.
Even though Big Poff is gone,
Albany at Idaho, Kibby Dome.
I know that we're not a big fan
Filthy
of
Kibby Dome.
Dome football, and if this was played in Albany, it might be a different situation.
Oh yeah.
But either way, two good football teams. Yeah, I'm in for it. Albany versus Idaho.
There we go. NC Nick, I know there's a battle in Carolina that's got to be catching your eye because Weehawk's been talking about it.
Yes, but it might not be the one you're thinking of. So this is just one FCS team involved, but I love Durham versus Chapel Hill. And usually, obviously, it's Duke UNC, but in this case, it's North Carolina Central at UNC. Upset?
Oh man,
probably not.
North Carolina Central's been pretty good. The problem is Davis Richard came out early to go to the NFL.
Yeah,
their quarterback.
This would be money.
This would be a great win if they could. I like it on the schedule, but I kind of don't think Trey Oliver will have them loaded. But
North Carolina Central, did they leave the HBCU ranks?
No, they're still in.
Who was
A&T left for the CAA.
For the CAA.
Yeah. One that I was going to mention, Weehawk, I'm sure is talking about Western Carolina heading to Elon. Two good schools from a year ago. Check out that one as well.
Southern Jackson State.
Yeah,
that's
the
money.
FCS has got heat. They always got heat, man. A lot of these Duquesne, Youngstown State's also a rematch of the FCS playoffs a year ago. All that good stuff. We got you covered on the FCS College Football Experience, folks. That's our show for this show. And Patty C is on Twitter at PattyC831. Give him a follow. NC Nick's on Twitter at NC__NICK. Give him a follow. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. Follow. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Remember, subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/The College Experience. Also, if you can give us a 5-star review on iTunes, that always helps. And check out all the other shows. NC Nick just talked Duke basketball and the College Basketball Experience. Go check out that episode. Duke offseason check-in. The college baseball experience is thriving. East Carolina just swept the pussy pack known as NC State. Take that, you filthy fucking losers. All right. Check out the FCS college football experience, as I alluded to. The UFL gambling podcast, spring football is here, and the sports gambling podcast is coming up next in about 15 minutes. So hang tight. All right. I'll be on that episode as well. So check it all out, folks. Until next time, this is the college football experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here. Run and shoot.